Let's get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The J Reels Podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I got to call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, direct, and in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the J Reels Podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits as we kick off another month and a new week here on the podcast, but nothing with so much to unpack, especially when it comes to baseball, which you know there's going to be a lot coming out of my mouth when it comes to the MLB trade deadline and beyond, as this is the J Reels Podcast with J Reels. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle or even as early as this past Thursday, I welcome you guys and gals back. And thank goodness as to what had transpired over the weekend, because I got news for you. Before I even get into the trades, and obviously the big one, as we all know, who that is going to be centered around. But as of early Saturday morning, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be the MLB trade deadline because nothing had really happened. And it made me think that for all the talk and for all the hype and everything that was going to surround this trade deadline, it actually had me a bit concerned. And I talked about it a little bit on Thursday, where will teams be hesitant to pull deals? Are they going to wait for that one shoe to drop? Are they going to wait for that one team to make a trade and then feel as if, all right, now we could scramble around? It was strange leading up into not only Thursday night, but into Friday. And then Saturday morning, we started to see some activity, and there was some mild activity there Thursday night into Friday, where the Mets had traded A.J. Minter to the Twins. I understand they brought back Benny Agbayani's son, Bruin, which I guess for nostalgia purposes, all right, great, but is he going to amount to anything or turn out to be anything? He's an infielder. That's not the story. Nor was the story about the Pirates, as we talked about on Thursday, whether or not teams like the Pirates and the Marlins and even the Twins, for that matter. Now, the Twins did bring in a reliever, but for the Pirates to bring in Camilo Doval, who was not good here in New York. He was here literally for a full calendar year. They got him before the deadline last year, and here it was a year later. They shipped him off to Pittsburgh, where that's a typical Pirate move. Now, they're not going to go all out to bring in a guy like Mason Miller. They're not going to go all out to bring in a huge bat or a big-time ace. Obviously, they do have one in Paul Skeens, despite him having a down year, but that was a typical Pirate move. And as you headed into Saturday, you kind of wondered. I was actually going to put out a short on the YouTube channel to say, all right, well, this is what we got here as far as the trade deadline so far. And I don't know what to even make of it at this point, considering that there hasn't been much going on. But Saturday, you did see some activity. Things were starting to pick up. And I see some comments there, Bastien. I know with the Reds, and of course, Bio, as well as J-Rod, my apologies. I know I just sent you a text prior too. But now as you get to Saturday, and I'll go through all the deals, well, not every single one, but I'll go through all the main deals that obviously are going to be worth talking about. And when you put your head on the pillow there Saturday night, or right before, when the news came down that Tarik Skubal, the two-time defending Cy Young Award winner in the American League, and a guy who a lot of people thought was going to be on the radar of the Tampa Bay Rays, maybe the Phillies, and quite possibly the Dodgers. And, of course, when you wake up there yesterday morning, and even though the White Sox made a deal by bringing in Luis Castillo from Seattle, and you kind of wonder where their season is going to go, but for Tarik Skubal to be traded to the Dodgers for River Ryan, a couple of other prospects, Brady Smith, and one other, I'm sure not only did it break the internet, but like Bio said to me yesterday, it broke baseball. And I'm going to talk about the deal for this year and what this means for past this year. As we all know, the CBA is coming. And I'll try not to get into a whole CBA deal. I kind of want to save that until we get to October. And certainly once the playoffs and World Series is over, then we could certainly unpack it and break it down a million ways to one. But as we all know, the deal, I'm not going to say it automatically cements the Dodgers winning a World Series and therefore three-peating for the first time since the Yankees in the late 90s into 2000. And it'll be only the fourth team in Major League Baseball history when you think about it. I mean, that's just – now, the Yankees have done it multiple times, so you got to also count the Yankees dating back to the DiMaggio teams and even the early Mantle teams of the late 40s into the 50s, and DiMaggio from 36 to 39. And then you have the A's of the 70s who won 3 straight. But how I look at this trade and what it's done to baseball, and of course, everybody's outraged. There's an uproar from coast to coast. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, here we go again. Oh, the Dodgers added so on and so forth. And yeah, the Dodgers added again. Yes. But I've said this a million times. And why am I going to regurgitate everything that I've said? And again, this is about this year, which also pertains to the future. But the Dodgers, they're looking to win it all. They're not the Pirates looking to bring in Camilo Doval. They're not the White Sox to bring in a guy like Luis Castillo. They are looking to cement themselves in history. And by doing so, they went out and got the biggest pitcher that was out there to be had, starting pitcher that is, and brought him onto a team that, let's face it, when you look at the Dodgers, you see a Range Rover, Mercedes, Porsche, Aston Martin, Maserati, Bugatti, and what do? They brought in an even bigger and better car than that. I don't know, maybe a vintage 57 Chevy, maybe a 69 Camaro, maybe a 74 T-top Trans Am. I don't know. You could probably put it in that category. But for Skubal now and the Dodgers, and again, does it automatically mean they're going to win a World Series? It does not, but it certainly comes close to pretty much locking it down. And I get it. The baseball fan, the sports fan, they've had it up to here. And you have every right to feel that way. But I've interviewed a lot of Dodger fans, and there's going to be some videos forthcoming this week, so stay tuned for that here on the channel. When it comes to the Dodger fans, I interviewed a ton of them. And their perspective of not only their chances of a three-peat, but are the Dodgers ruining baseball? And people could say that all they want. And for those who have followed me and watched on the channel, you know where I come from when it comes to that. And I get it. Many moons ago, when the Yankees were bringing in players and bringing in the likes of Jason Giambi and Mike Mussina and CeCe Sabathia and AJ Burnett and making trades midseason to bring in Raul Mondesi to play the outfield. And we could go through a plethora of deals. This was when George Steinbrenner was still the principal owner of the team. And yes, we could talk about them being the evil empire, bringing in A-Rod and bringing in Gary Sheffield. All these high-priced Hall of Fame type talent players. And it was easy for me as a Met fan to say, oh, the evil empire, look what they're doing, so on and so forth. But I've come to my senses. I've come to realize that the Dodgers, although they're this generation's iteration of the evil empire, but you know what? What rules are they breaking? And I know I sound contradictory because 20 years ago when Steinbrenner was doing that, I was And today, all I can say is the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. The 31 other teams can do the same thing. And I get it that they have an embarrassment of riches. That they're able to sign Tanner Scott last year to a 4-year, $72 million deal. And when the World Series comes around, they send him packing. They say, don't even show up. Don't worry, we'll pay you, but you don't even have to, and you'll get a ring because he's been on the team, but you will not be on the roster in the World Series. There's only maybe 1 or 2 teams in Major League Baseball that can do that. The Mets and the Yankees. Maybe the Phillies. I won't even say the Red Sox or John Henry. They're in a different trajectory. Although they've been excellent, and what a weekend they had in L.A. Bio, I'm sure, sorry to bring that up, but I got news for you. if people are going to look at this trade and think that A is a disgrace to baseball and what is baseball doing, they have every right to say that. They absolutely positively do. But now, as we talked about here, what it means for the here and now, this trade, etc., but really what this trade means for the future. And this is where I'll try not to go off the rails and spend 12 or 15 minutes talking about the CBA. But this is where baseball, and I'm talking about the owners, are going to have to put their feet down. Did I say that right? No, put their feet down. I was thinking foot, each individual owner. Should have known that was plural. They're going to have to put their feet down and say, enough. And I get it that the Rays made a trade to bring in Freddie Peralta. And I mentioned the aforementioned Luis Castillo going to the White Sox. And other baseball teams could do the same thing. They could procure talent. They could sign free agents. They can make all these trades, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing is that if baseball really wants to stop this, and with the CBA about to expire December 1st this year, think about it, less than 4 months. And I'll get to all the comments. I see you, Ray, in bio, et cetera. It's one of those things that no matter how we could dissect it, no matter what we could say what's right, wrong, et cetera about baseball, the bottom line is this. There has to be competitive balance. And the funny thing is that people could say, well, this is the 1 year, Jay Reels, that you have competitive balance. The Rays are in first place, have the best record in the American League. The Brewers, who are literally a game behind the Dodgers as of right this very moment. We could talk about what the White Sox, I understand they're in a big market, but they've had a big-time year. And, yeah, we talk about the Guardians, whatever. Fine. And not only that, the Marlins have certainly rectified their season. They lost 12 in a row. Now they've won 6 of 7. They go to Atlanta and I believe they play 4 in Atlanta, which is going to be a huge series for them. And they're in the thick of the wild card race. And, yes, we could talk about some of these teams that are in low markets or in small markets that are actually flourishing. And here they are in the middle of August in pennant races. But we all know that for 1 year, anybody can have a big season. And somebody could be a surprise. But as far as sustaining that excellence year after year after year, come on. Not going to happen. Now, I understand the Marlins last year, there was 79-83, and this year they look like they could be a team that's over 500 and may make the postseason. And mind you, in 2023, they actually made the playoffs as a wild card team before getting knocked off by the Phillies. So think about this. They've had more recent success than the Mets have, despite them going to an NLCS 2 years ago. But the point of the matter is that even with a team like the Marlins and what they've done here over the last 3 years, come on, are anybody going to think that the Marlins are going to be a threat to win a World Series year in and year out? And the Rays, we get it. The Rays are as resourceful as any team in Major League Baseball, and that includes the Dodgers. But, of course, they have the small market mentality that they're not going to go after big-time players. Or if they do, in a case, do you say Peralta is a big-time player? Are they going to re-sign him after this year? Quite possibly, which now goes back to my original point as far as past this season and the CBA. There has to be a semblance of a salary cap here. They may not want to call it a salary cap. You know, the players don't want that in any way, shape, or form. But that's really the big guys. That's not the rank and file. Because as we know, the rank and file, they're going to be like, we want to get paid. We're not getting paid $30 million a year or $40 million a year. That's not us. That's the utility infielder, the third reliever on the team, the 26th guy on the roster. Those guys, they're going to have to need a second job, as crazy as that may sound, because if they're making the minimum at almost $800,000, and listen, that's nothing to sneeze at, but they're not making the Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto type money where they could say, you know what? All right, they can take off for a year. I'm good. I have money in the bank. I'm straight. So this is why, as much as we need the ceiling, we do need that floor too. Because for teams like the Marlins, the Rays, that historically have been at the bottom of the payroll food chain, they're going to have to up their game too. Because in order to have that competitive balance, you have to spend money. And I get it that those owners in Tampa, now they're going to get new owners, but whether it's in Miami, in Bruce Sherman, whether it's in Colorado, whether it's in Kansas City, those teams, I get it. They don't have the glitz and the glam of what's going on in LA, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, but they're going to have to elevate to the point where they may not be able to meet or match those aforementioned cities and the teams that play in those cities, but they're going to have to come relatively close to at least say, hey, this is the team that we're putting out there, which is going to be competitive, which is going to be a possible contender. There's a fly going around there. They're going to need to do everything and anything to keep themselves in business and not just pair off players or come through the minor league system. And then when it's time for free agency, they're not even going to trade. They're just going to let them walk. Or in this case with the Tigers, they traded Skubal away to bring back prospects. Excuse me. So now it's a situation where for down the road, and I'll put the lid on that as far as the CBA and conclude it there. But that's baseball's biggest problem. And this trade, like I said, doesn't guarantee a World Series, but it certainly puts them as a lock favorite. And like I said, they're the only team in baseball. I don't even think the Mets would or the Yankees would have this type of practice to where you could literally send home a reliever like they did last year or pay Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow $30 million a year to say, you know what, rehab all you want. Take your time. There's no need for you to rush back because our season, the Dodgers that is, starts in October. So whether they go 114-48, if I do my math correctly, or 162, or 82-80, as long as they make the playoffs, that's all that matters because that's when their season begins. Not now, not September 1st, not September 15th, and certainly didn't on March 26th. It starts in October. And we will monitor every step to see whether or not that the Dodgers get that three-peat. And I will say this, if they do, then all the owners are going to be up in arms because they're going to say, you see, we can't have this. Despite the fact that the players will say, well, we don't want a salary cap. Or, you know what, the Rays and the Marlins and the White Sox and all these other teams that were in the thick of things to the end of it, they're going to say, well, we have competitive balance. The owner in Colorado's not saying that. The owner in Kansas City's not saying that. And that team made the playoffs 2 years ago. And one more time, I understand that those teams could say, all right, we could trade for this guy or sign this big-time free agent. But we all know that's where we have to elevate the floor because they're thinking with that floor mentality. You think in the NFL because of a salary cap where it's an even playing field. And I understand you need the quarterback. It's very important. But from one year to the next, you never know. The Bengals made it to a Super Bowl in this decade. The Bengals. And despite the fact of Kansas City's dominance other than last year and making it to, 5 of the past 7 Super Bowls prior to this year? But there's no guarantee for them either. The Eagles steamrolled them. The Buccaneers also did the same. And you do have a mix of teams that have actually won over the last few years. Please, the Seattle Seahawks. I didn't put them as a Super Bowl favorite. I didn't think they were going to be, I thought they were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be a big-time team last year. And look what happened. See, at least the Seahawks could have that and ride that into this year. Where in the past, at the time, Florida Marlins win the World Series, and the next year, it's a fire sale. And that's what's wrong with the sport. Said it before, say it again, and I don't know what else to tell you. All right, I'm going to get you your comments after the baseball segment. I see DeNavis. I see my guy, Waffle Iron. My guys, I should say, with Ray and, of course, Bastien, who's in the States here, which I appreciate. J-Rod, of course, as we move it along here. Now, I want to get to some of these other deals. Waffle Iron, I don't want to incite a riot. All right, hold off on that. I'm going to read that afterwards, I promise. Now, to get to some of these deals, and I know there's going to be more. Just a little while ago, the Phillies made a trade with the Giants for Luis Ariz. And we talked about last week how Bryce Harper said, oh, we need help here, there, and everywhere. Now, he's certainly going to add to that offense. Now, I don't know what happens with Bryson Stott. Stott, who plays second base and who is left-handed. What are you going to do? It's almost a thing where, although the trade, it's an upgrade because you get a hit machine and a guy doesn't strike out, has no power. But unless they're going to trade Stott today, what are you going to do? You're going to put him on the bench? Which to me is similar to what the Yankees did by bringing in Luis Garcia. I understand they need offensive help. No Cody Bellinger, no Aaron Judge, no Giancarlo Stanton. And yes, the guy leads the majors in slugging, but he plays first base and he's left-handed. Oh, by the way, the Yankees already have a left-handed first baseman. Well, left-handed hitting first baseman. His name is Ben Rice, who could be in the running for an MVP this year in the American League. And I understand, well, wait a minute. Luis Garcia, by trade, he's a second baseman. Well, you got Jazz Chisholm there. And you can say, well, Chisholm's a free agent after this year. All right, but you're thinking about this year. And who knows what that dynamic is going to be, having Garcia on the team, who, like I said, is a left-handed stick. And remember, once upon a time, as early as maybe, 3 years ago, there were no lefties in the Yankee lineup at all. And it was actually a disgrace with that short porch. Remember how right-hand hitting dominant that the Yankees were? What was it, 3-4 years ago? Gleyber Torres, of course, the aforementioned Judge, Stanton, Gary Sanchez. I mean, you couldn't find a left-handed hitter anywhere in sight. And I believe Anthony Rizzo was the first left-handed hitter that they finally got by trade, because it was an injustice how that lineup wasn't balanced by having a lot of left-handed batters. But now this Yankee team, you got nothing but left-handed batters and no righties. And to think, you bring in Garcia, I get it. He's an upgrade. And the Yankees, who have, let's face it, even without those guys in the lineup, they've actually played well. Now, they've won a lot of low-scoring games and close games. They can't win in extra innings, though, as you know, in Comiskey at Chicago, there in the middle of the week. But Garcia, although it's an upgrade, no doubt, but where are you going to put him? You're not going to put Ben Rice on the bench. I guess you're going to put Jazz on the bench. You're going to upset him. And you're going to put, I get it, Ben Rice will be a DH. Paul Goldschmidt, you can forget about. I understand that there's a lefty that's going to be pitching against the Yanks. You're going to put him in there and you put Rice at DH. What are you going to do with Garcia? So that trade is puzzling to me. And despite the fact that you could say, well, hey, Jay Reels, again, it's a good problem to have. Now when you're upsetting the chemistry of the team, what are you going to do? You're going to put him at third base? You're not going to do that. So I'm sure Aaron Boone's going to figure out what he's going to do there. And obviously, they're going to pencil him in the lineup. He would think against the Cardinals. But, yeah, to me, that's bringing Giancarlo Stanton when they got him in a trade with the Marlins many years ago. And to go along with Aaron Judge, you got two big, hulking, right-handed power hitters. And, yes, more power the better, but they play the same position. And as we know, Giancarlo's been in and out of the lineup with the injuries. And now you have a situation where Rivera, who's played first base this year, but you got Ben Rice, who's hit more home runs and I believe more RBIs, and obviously not with the slugging, but still. And then you had the Rays, who made a big deal with Peralta. Now, let's see what happens. Peralta, I'm sure he's going to pitch well. He's not going to go there to be the man. And not that he was supposed to be the man here, although, as you well know, you've heard me throughout the year, he was never an ace in my eyes. I get it. He was one of the top pitchers in the National League last year, 17-6 with a 2.5 ERA. And I believe he was, third in the Cy Young. But I never looked at him as a guy that, we got ourselves an ace. No way. Go back and check those receipts, people. And watch. He'll do well down there with Drew Rasmussen and Shane McClanahan and the Nick Martinezes of the world. Who knows? Watch him be lights out. And the Mets go to Tampa, I believe, right before I think it's right before Labor Day, if I'm not mistaken. And watch Peralta, who barely gets into the sixth inning and barely gets through five. Watch him pitch 7 scoreless innings against the Mets. I mean, would that be out of the realm of possibility? No. But that's a good move for Tampa. And that's a typical move. So let's see how he performs down the stretch where they're going to need him. And to stave off the Yankees to try to win a division, have the Yankees go the hard route to get to a World Series by playing in the wild card, division series, etc. And then when you look at what and this is, I don't understand what the Blue Jays are doing. Could somebody answer me this? So the Blue Jays trade Kevin Gausman to the Cubs. That's an upgrade for the Cubs. Great. But prior to that, they get Jameson Taillon, who I understand is a Canadian pitcher. And I don't know, all of a sudden now they want to be a little nostalgic, I guess. Who knows? But they bring in not only Jameson Taillon, but they trade for Jose Soriano from the Angels. They get 2 pitchers there. And for what? Blue Jays are going nowhere. And I don't care how many games back are there on the wild card. I mean, they've done squat this year. So for what that's worth, I mean, I don't even know. And I don't understand Soriano's another year. I think he has 2 years left on his deal. So maybe they looked at it from that case. And they bring in Taillon and think, let's start over. Gossip. I don't know. And Castillo to the White Sox. I know he has 1 more year left on his deal. And listen, Seattle, I don't know what they're going to do today. They've been a major disappointment. And Castillo, listen, he hasn't had the best of years, but the White Sox, he brings a veteran presence, has pitched in the postseason. So I can't knock the White Sox for trying to go for it and bring in a guy who I'm not going to say he's fallen on hard times, but certainly has not had the zip that he's once had on his fastball and his pitches. But who knows? Maybe by going to the south side of Chicago, it'll be a breath of fresh air for him. That we'll have to wait and see. And then the Braves, who you think they're going to be in the mix with some of these other pitchers, and I'm going to get to that in a moment as to who's going to be left here between now and 6 o'clock. And I think, dare I even say this when it comes to the Yankees, but they need to make another trade, and bear with me on that. With the Braves getting Lane Thomas, who is a decent stick, an outfielder who had made his presence felt a couple of postseasons ago when he was with the Guardians. And Atlanta, they always seem to get those type of trades, whether it's the Adam Duvals of the world or the Jorge Solers, like they did at the trade deadline in 2021 when they went on to win a World Series. So not to say that Thomas is going to have that type of impact, but watch him have that sneaky postseason as we think the Braves, they're going to make it into the playoffs. Watch him be that guy that's, next thing you know, in a big spot, he's going to come up and deliver and have that type of 385 batting average in a short postseason series, and you can't get the guy out. Cheers, H2O, for those watching on YouTube and later on Spotify. And let me see if there's anything else come down the pike here, deals. Yeah, Garcia, we're talking about Soriano. Mizorowski rips awful Angel Stadium mound. Yeah, of course. How can he rip the mound? He only gave up 2 runs and 2 hits in the game and lost. I can see we got lit up. But anyway. Now, as far as the players that we're going to look at here throughout the rest of this trade deadline, and I'll get to the weekend and we'll talk about the change and a shift in the AL West, which was pretty surprising over the weekend, at least in my eyes. But what you have left here, and I'm just trying to get an up to the second deal. All right, yeah, Phillies, Braves, what to know? All right, fine. What is this? Braves are acquiring left-handed reliever Brent Suter from the Angels. All right. Here's some of the players that are on the trade block, we'll say, between now and 6 p.m. that we'll see if there's going to be any movement. I know the Mets, they're going to be front and center. They've already traded 2 players. Who knows if Clay Holmes, Luke Weaver, both of those guys have deals next year. So who knows? They could probably get back a lot more because they still have a year remaining as opposed to them being a rental. And I get it that a lot of the Met fans, how could David Stearns trade for Freddie Peralta? They trade their top prospects and then they get low-level prospects back. Well, he's a rental. They're not going to get big-time prospects, which even goes to show more how David Stearns needs to be out, and I've banged that drum a million times. But to trade a guy that you brought in from the team that you go way back with, and then you ship him out of here, I mean, if that doesn't mean that anyway. But you got Holmes, you got Luke Weaver, you got Brooks Raley. Those guys could be on the block. I don't think Luis Robert or Jorge Polanco, nobody's going to touch those guys. I mean, I'd be shocked if anybody does. But those are the 3 guys that could be moved here. Do I think they will be? listen, if I'm David Stearns, you got to get back something for these guys. Even if they do have another year left on their contracts, a la Holmes as well as Weaver. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hold on to Weaver only because they've seen what he's done here. And going into next year, you want to at least think about next year. And knowing that Weaver, after a slow start, rebounded in a nice way. So I would think because he has another year left, and I believe he has $12 million on that deal, because I think this year you got 10.5, and I think next year's 12.5. But to me, it's a situation where I would not be surprised if they hang on to him, and I think that they actually should, if you ask me. Holmes, I understand the broken leg. He should be coming back soon. They want to ship him? Fine. That I get, because you do have young pitchers in the pipeline that they can work with and maybe try to get a pitcher once the CBA is clear. Who knows when that's going to be. And then as far as Brooks Raley, who's had an excellent year, you want to ship him, do so. You're not going to get a ton back, but I would do that. Now, if Clay Holmes, or I should say if Luke Weaver, if somebody's going to offer a handsome package, you got to do it. Case closed. You just can't think that, oh, well, we got to hold on to this player because, I mean, if a team's willing to give up whatever for him, then you do it. End of story. But you have those guys that are on the block, and let me just bring up a couple of other candidates here. I'm going to get to the big one in a minute. Now, I'm looking at one of these lists, which is a joke. I mean, please, you're going to trade away C.J. Abrams if you're the Nationals? I mean, you'd be stupid to do that. Why even be in the business? And I don't care how much you could get back. That guy is a young player. He still has years left on his deal. You want to build around a guy like that. You don't want to trade him away. Jeremy Pena, I know he's had a lot of injury issues, and the Astros have played well. I'm going to get to them. George Kirby, yeah, I get it. If he goes somewhere else, he could certainly be somebody's treasure where it may be somebody's, I should say, it may be a situation where the Mariners have had enough of him. I wouldn't do that just yet. You don't want to trade away pitching in that regard. I know Reed Detmers has been bandied about. Adley Rutschman, the Yankees have been zeroing in on him. I don't know if the Orioles, I wouldn't trade him in the division if you ask me. But Hunter Goodman, I know the Rockies. Again, why be in business? You have a young catcher who's a stud power hitter. Why? Why do that? I understand they're not going anywhere, but you got to keep some of your good players if you want to bring anybody into the ballpark. And then, look, I'm seeing Otto Lopez. Why would the Marlins trade a guy like Otto Lopez, who's second in the majors in hitting? And they're in the middle of a wild card race. Why? Unless they're going to get a ton back. I'm not doing that. And listen, I'm not making Otto Lopez out to be A-Rod, but what are we doing? Yeah, Foster Griffin. Listen, Foster Griffin, I get it. He's not going to knock anybody's socks off, but the Nationals need pitching. Why would they trade away pitching? You've heard of Adrian Morejon, the reliever from the Padres, Casey Mize. These are guys that are going to be on the block. Somebody threw in Jackson Holiday? Wow. They're willing to give up on him that quick? Perhaps Soriano has already been traded. Robbie Ray's a guy that's going to be on the block. You wonder if the Phillies are going to be in on him, considering that Gossman is now in Chicago and they need another start in the worst way. But here's the big guy that I'm thinking about right now. And I know this is going to be, you know me, people with hot takes. I'm not one who to ruffle feathers, upset the apple cart. I always speak from the heart when it comes to sports. You guys and gals know who my diehards. You already know. Now, these are big ifs. I've said this a million times over. If I'm the Padres, I'm not trading Mason Miller. Not this year. I'm not going to do it. But if this one team is going to offer me that Godfather offer that has outfield prospects, a big-time infield prospect, and a pitcher that's in the minors that could be either reliever, I believe he's a reliever right now in the minors, in a one Curtis Lagrange. But if the Yankees are going to offer up a package for Mason Miller, Brian Cashman, you got to pull that trigger. And here's my take. And here's the big if. I got to underline this. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. Somehow, some way, if the Yankees do get a healthy Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Cody Bellinger, and they get Mason Miller, they could beat the Dodgers. Could. Not saying they're going to, not saying they will beat them, could beat them. Because they have a lineup that can match up against the Dodgers. Now, I understand. I'm sure Bio fell out of his chair by me saying that, and Ray's probably breaking out the pinstripe pom-poms. Now, we know their fundamentals are terrible. Base running, fielding, etc. Now, that's the one thing that the Yankees have not been able to find a remedy for. I get that. But on paper, if Mason Miller is going to be in the back of that bullpen to go along with that lineup and their rotation that can match up against the Dodgers, although I do not trust Carlos Rodon, and there's a part of me that doesn't even trust Garrett Cole in a big spot, and not because of what happened 2 years ago in the World Series. He's a guy that's off and on, and Max Fried too. Max Fried could have that stellar start, and then he falls off a cliff. Cam Slitler's a stud. Now, he did not pitch well against the Dodgers a couple weeks ago, Yankee Stadium, in that day-night doubleheader. Now, I understand it's a regular season game, who cares? But on paper, that rotation, and if they have Miller with that lineup healthy, they could beat the Dodgers. Could. Now, of course, there's that part of me, I do not want to see that happen. But I bring that up only because if there's going to be any team that's going to compete against the Dodgers this year, whether that be in the National League or American League, that team is the Yankees. And I'm saying this now on August 3rd. Because let's break it down real quick before I get to other things. When you look at the National League, Phillies, they don't hit in big spots. Go look back over the last 4 or 5 years. I've actually said this to you as early as last week. And I understand for those maybe in your first time, what do you mean, Jay Reels? They got Schwarber, they got Turner, yeah, but those guys in big spots, they do not deliver. Do I even need to go through the breakdown? All I got to do is go back 2 years ago against the Mets. 2024 in the division series. And even last year against the Dodgers, they didn't hit. One game in game 3 where they broke out, they did 8-2. Other than that, they did nothing. And I don't trust them. I don't trust the Phillies at all. You want to talk about the Brewers? Do I even need to go down that road again? Oh, what makes this year different than last year? I don't know. What, Jason Mizorowski, is he going to go and pitch games 1, 3, and 5 in the division series? That's not happening. And chances are I'm not going to face the Dodgers until the championship series anyway. But sorry, I don't see it with the Brewers. And if you're going to look at any other team in the National League, Cubs, where the Dodgers actually go to Wrigley starting, I believe, today or tomorrow. I'll check the schedule later on. I'm not sold on the Cubs beating them. And the Padres, we saw what happened there 2 years ago when it 2-1. And people say, well, Jay Reels, why are you basing this on the past? Why everything is just breaking it down? You're talking about the Brewers of last year. You're talking about the 2024 Phillies against the Mets. That's what I'm basing it on. What do you think? All of a sudden these teams are going to start hitting? All of a sudden these teams are going to start hitting home runs out of the ballpark? They're going to start hitting 400 in a series? I understand we got to watch it in front of us in real time. But the back of the baseball card tells me otherwise. And until they step up and deliver, I don't see it. And as far as the American League goes, maybe the Rays. But the Rays aren't going to be able to match what the Dodgers have. Lineup-wise, starting rotation-wise, even with Freddie Peralta in Tampa. That's why I mentioned the Yankees. Please, the Guardians ain't going to match up with the Dodgers. Not even the Astros, as great as they've been recently, they're not going to match up. There's no way. Yordan Alvarez, he's been a beast, and he's probably the lead candidate for the AL MVP. But there's no Carlos Correa of years ago. Jose Altuve, let's face it, he's a shell of his old self. That lineup is not going to be able to match that Dodger lineup, and even the pitching, for that matter. And they can't play well at home either, as you know. So this is why I cast a big shadow over where we're at right now. And people can tell me, well, Jay Reels, then we shouldn't watch baseball. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if I'm looking into my crystal ball and I see what's out there, there's only one team that could beat them. That's it. Now, until I'm proven otherwise, you want somebody to laugh at me if the Brewers do beat the Dodgers in an NLCS? or if they get picked off, and we've seen that with the Dodgers too. Diamondbacks swept them in 2023. And I get it. Anything can happen in a short series in baseball. But until otherwise, it's the Dodgers and it's everybody else. Ray Conn, I would do that Mason Miller trade in a heartbeat. I hear that. I wish you could say my face right now. No, we'll talk about that, Ray. Absolutely. We'll do that. All right, now let me get to the weekend and what transpired in baseball. And the first thing I got to talk about, that AL West is, I don't know, it's hot potato. 1 week, the Mariners in first place, but like, nah, we don't want it. Take it, Texas Rangers. And the Rangers who beat the Mariners 3 out of 4 just last weekend and overtook the Mariners for the AL West lead. And now here come the Astros, and the Rangers said, no, we don't want it. You can take it. And now the Astros get ready for this. I understand it's not a sizable lead, but who would have thought that after this past weekend that the Astros would be 2.5 games ahead of the Rangers and 3 over the Mariners. Now, a week from today, I bet you the Mariners will be in first place. It's strange. And now the Astros have hit their stride here. You kind of wonder whether or not, now they're going to take off and run away with the division. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. But the Astros are a weird team. And it's strange because when you think of the Astros, especially over the last decade, all the success of the pennants in the AL and World Series appearances and the 2 World Series wins that they had. And I know I'm turning his stomach right now as I say this, but oh, look at this. Phillies add Brooks Raley. 2 minor leaguers. I mean, they're going to be please. Who is this? Lou Gaberish and outfielder John Spikerman. So a rare trade in the division as the Phillies get the lefty, which is going to help, and they're going to need it. I mean, think about it. Jose Alvarado is not the answer there. And no, I'm not talking about the point guard that just won a championship with the Knicks. The left-hander who, if you recall, in Game 6 of the 2022 World Series, Yordan Alvarez broke the game open with a home run over dead center. That guy who got the PED suspension, 80 games, and can't get a big out to save his life. And especially if you're going to go up against the Dodgers with all those lefties. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. So it's a good move by the Phils. They need a starter, though. They need a starter. But going back to the Astros, yeah, I don't trust them. Even with their pedigree and what they've done, that team has had so much turnover over the last few years that even though, yeah, Alvarez is a game wrecker, and if I said Hunter Green, I meant Hunter Brown, who is a very good starter, but they don't have the chutzpah that they did years ago. I get it that maybe they could be lightning in a bottle, that they'll have their flashes here, and who knows, maybe they'll even end up winning the division. But do I see the Astros being a threat? I do not. I don't. And I'll look at the schedule, watch them go right in the tank where it comes to their schedule this week. But I got to give them credit. The Astros have been surprising. I mean, that's the best way to put it. They've been a shock here. And knowing that the Astros have now put themselves in the mix for a division. Now, I don't know about their record because they probably will end up with the 3rd best record. They're actually, 3-1? They're 2 games behind the White Sox for that 2 seed. And the Rays have the best record in the AL. Listen, the Astros have been surprising. Again, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but let's see as we move it along here. And it'll be interesting to see if the Astros make a trade. I mentioned Derby Pena's name, the shortstop who was actually the MVP in the World Series there 4 years ago. But to me, I need to see more. I'm not sold on the Astros. And at the end of the day, you just put those 3 teams and names in a hat. You pick one, and they're probably going to end up winning the division. Red Sox had a big weekend. I don't know what happened there. The Red Sox, boy, you talk about a team, as I do the math here. The Red Sox right now are on a clip. They have won 23 of their last 26 games. They are 5 back of the Rays for the division. They still got to leapfrog over the Yankees. But right now, they put themselves in a position where they're going to win the wild card. I mean, unless they now do an about face. And who knows what the Red Sox are going to do. Remember, Curtis Mead out. What are they going to do to try to bring in another bat? Obviously, the Yankees and Rays have made moves here, so the Red Sox have to counter. So we'll see what they do. Yeah, that's it for the American League. National League, forget about the divisions. The divisions are done. And the wild card, we know that's going to be a free-for-all just for that one spot in the National League. Where right now, think about this. One spot's now 2 because the Diamondbacks and Phillies are tied for that last spot where the Cubs are 4 games ahead of them. So the Cubs right now are entrenched there in that 4 spot. So really you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should I throw in the Reds? All right, I'll throw the Reds a bone for my guy Bastien if you're still with me. 8 teams for 2 spots. So in the National League, Padres are a game back. Marlins a game and a half back. Pirates 3.5, Cardinals 4, Nationals 4.5, and the Reds 5.5. Whereas in the American League, after Yankees and Red Sox, Guardians, a game over the Twins, 1.5 over Texas, 2 over Seattle, 2.5 over Baltimore, 2.5 over Detroit, 4.5 Toronto. Here's the thing about the Tigers. I'll say this for J-Rock, because he and I have been back and forth on this. And for those on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, like J-Rod, who's this? J-Rod, one of the supporters of the channel who's in the chat room, big Tiger fan from the state of Michigan. Now, you wonder if Casey Mize, if he gets traded here, that's going to put a wrinkle into things. But even with them being 4 games under 500 and 2.5 back, could the Tigers make a run? I think they could. But will they be long for a deep postseason run? Probably not. But A.J. Hinch does know his way around winning, so you can't put it past them to think that they absolutely have no shot. Now, are they going to win a World Series? They are not. But 2.5 back, I mean, think about it. They could go on a run, and they're in a division that's wide open. They got, I get it, 2 teams ahead of them in their own division, and that's the reason why I can't count them out, because they still have a ton of games with the Twins and Guardians left where they could overtake them. Granted, they still have to leapfrog over Baltimore, over Texas, over Seattle. I get that. But, and I don't know who they have left. Tigers just played the Orioles, as you know, this past week. And Detroit actually plays Seattle, I believe, tonight, if I'm not, or tomorrow. So I'll look at the schedule momentarily. But that's what you have there with baseball. I know it took a huge chunk to start off the podcast, and there's a couple things I will get to before I get to your comments. Bio says Skubal makes his debut. I can't wait to get to these comments because this is going to be hysterical. But your schedule for MLB this week, or the early part of the week, is as follows. Washington and Philadelphia. Interesting series. Cardinals at the Yankees. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Good series. San Francisco, Texas. All right, so now you have Dodgers in Chicago. I just want to make sure that's a 3-game and not a 4-game series. That is a 3-game series. And then the Dodgers then will go to Arizona. So a 3-game series in Chicago. Excellent series there. Then you have Tampa, Colorado, Toronto, and Houston. San Diego, Arizona. That's a big series there too, considering that San Diego's behind Arizona obviously in the division, but also in the wild card. Then you also have Angels in Baltimore, Athletics at Cincinnati. Hey, Athletics at Cincinnati. Does that ring a bell there, Mark Sammons, if you're with us? Sorry, I had to throw that out there. White Sox at Red Sox, good series. Miami and Atlanta. Minnesota at KC. Detroit at Seattle. Enormous series. You have a lot of good series here to start off the week. LA, Chicago, Cubs. That to me is the highlight. Washington, Philly, pretty good. St. Louis, because they're in the mix at the Yankees. Miami, Atlanta, not bad. Detroit, Seattle, excellent. I know it's not 5-star, A+, whatever, but those two, hey, listen, if Detroit wants to make a rush here, and especially when you talk about tiebreakers with season series, that's a big series. They take 2 out of 3 on the road, and obviously that's the first time since last year, Game 5 of the division series. San Diego, Arizona, excellent series. So that's what you got with baseball. Let me see if they got anything else going on here. Yeah, no other trades as of yet. All right, so that's what you got with the baseball. Trust me, comments will be coming quickly because these next 2 things I want to talk about are going to be rather quick, and that's the NFL, which I lace up the cleats, put on the helmet and shoulder pads for. NFL with the first preseason game set Thursday, Hall of Fame game in Canton. You have the ceremony, I believe, on Saturday, right? With the Hall of Fame. I even forgot who's going in the Hall of Fame. Well, Drew Brees, I know, is one. That's obvious. Larry Fitzgerald, obvious. And a few others, which maybe I'll talk more about on Thursday. But what you have in the NFL right now, few things. Number one, you have a couple of reunions with players. Deebo Samuel going back to the Bay Area. And we understand with that whole situation with Brandon Ayuk and I guess needing some reinforcement. So they bring Deebo back on a 1-year deal. And who knows what's up with Ayuk. We talked about that weeks ago, him having these meltdowns on video, talking about the Commanders, putting, you got that. You have Jadeveon Clowney going back to Houston, which I think it's a good sign for him because he doesn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting, that being of Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. So imagine him just having to come in to maybe play 15 or so snaps to try to get to the quarterback to go along with those aforementioned 2 guys. I think that's a good spot for him. So you got that going along. And then you had a couple of retirements, which may have come to a surprise for some. One is Andrews Pete, the longtime guard of the New Orleans Saints. And he did play with the Raiders and also did appear with the Steelers as well. But he's a guy that played in the league 11 years, goes off into the sunset, gets ready for the life after football. And then Jalen Polk, speaking of the Saints, who retired surprisingly, considering that he got traded from New England. And I want to see, did he come out with a post? Because I want to read that. No. Yeah. No, based on what I read here, comes into camp, as you all know, opened up last week, and then decides to step down. Was traded from New England to the Saints, and obviously had not played a down even in a preseason game for that matter. And who knows? He only played the 1 year and decided to say, you know what, I'm out. And not that he was a big-time player, but you got to wonder whether it was a situation where, yeah, you can make a lot of money playing football, but did not want to run the risk of injury or decided to pivot. Let me just see. I know he had a shoulder injury, but let's see. Yeah, Polk never played for the Saints, as we know. Yeah, it doesn't really give you a reason why he's retiring. Right now he's on the reserved retired list. And there you go. So you had a surprise retirement there as far as the NFL goes. But besides that, as teams are starting to fine-tune and get themselves ready for their first preseason game. Now, mind you, the preseason doesn't begin for all the other teams until the following Thursday. So you have the standalone game, which I believe is on NBC this coming Thursday. And then, in essence, the preseason begins next Thursday. And then the following 2 Thursdays after that, or Thursday, Friday into Saturday, I know, what will that be? 3 weeks from this Thursday will be the final preseason, and all the teams will play that Thursday and then get themselves set up for the season, which, as we all know, begins the Wednesday after Labor Day. I believe that's it with the NFL. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Let me see. NFL. I think there was one other thing. Oh, yeah. How can I not forget about this? 2 things. Well, Chris Olave, speaking of the Saints, signs 4 years, $132 million, 90 guaranteed. Good for him. And Baker Mayfield getting disrespected by, or feeling disrespected by, the Buck front office. And I know it's tough because does he deserve an extension there, considering his teams went to the playoffs in 23 and 24, not last year. And he's going into the final year of his deal this year, where the Glazers have said, what have you done for me lately? Unless they hammer out a deal before the start of the regular season, which could happen, but maybe they have their sights set on 2027 and beyond. Not to say that they're punting this year away, but I guess they're telling Baker, you got to sing for your supper, and we'll see at the end of the year whether or not we're going to give you a contract. Well, I'm sure Baker says that, all right, I'm going to push all the chips to the middle of the table, bet on myself, and he's going to get that $50 million deal probably elsewhere. I mean, that's the only thing I can look at, seeing it from afar. So all I'll say is, yeah, maybe it's a little messed up how the Bucs didn't offer him an extension, even if it was 2 years for $100 million. But I'm sure they're resting on their laurels and thinking that, we want to see him take us to the playoffs and have a big season this year, and then we'll talk money, where Baker's probably thinking, all right, we'll do that. And if I remain healthy and have a big-time year, my stats are going to speak for themselves, but he's probably going to go elsewhere, which will be then a bad job by the Buck GM and ownership to not keep him there, because where else are you going to get a quarterback? I understand Baker Mayfield's not great. He's not bad. He's good. But is he a guy you can win a Super Bowl with? You got to have the right pieces, in my eyes. He's got a lot of guts, chip on his shoulder, a game quarterback. Can't discredit that or discount that by any means. But is he that guy that is going to lead you to the promised land? One more time, he's got to have the perfect team around him, in my eyes, in order for him to win. He's not going to win you games week in and week out just based on sheer talent and throwing arm, etc. And the other thing I want to bring up is this Tony Romo getting that OWI, which I never heard of until then, where he wasn't driving under the or with the influence. It was operating, which I guess he had the open can or bottle while he was driving. And Tony Romo, what are you doing? I am not the morality police, as you guys and gals know, but that's a situation where, not that I would excuse that from a 22 or 23-year-old, but I could see a 22 or 23-year-old do that. But a guy who is, in his mid to late 40s, and he was going to his grandparents', I might add. It's not like he was going shopping or, oh, hon, I got to pick up some milk. I'm on my way home, and I decided to have one for the road. No. Tony Romo, come on. First of all, don't drink. All right? And if you do, have some water, and they say, all right, guys, I'm out. I don't need to open up and drink. I mean, what a disaster. That they had the whole body cam footage on YouTube. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's 26 minutes. I did see bits and pieces of it from another media source, but Tony Romo, come on. And right now, CBS has him on leave. They've anointed J.J. Watt now to be the guy to work with Jim Nantz. And does that mean he loses his job? I don't know. You would think in this day and age, it's a terrible optic. I'm sure he's going to get suspended without pay. Who knows for how long? But yeah, Tony Romo, come on. You got to do better than that. Anyway, and listen, as you know, Romo, I've never been a big fan of his. As far as him being in the booth, everybody got gaga over him. You go, oh, look at him predict these plays prior to that. If you watch football long enough, and I'm not even privy to these practices, you could see 3rd and 7, they're going to go here. Or which quarterback, wide receiver, or quarterback tight end combo, tandem. I watched enough Ravens games to say, oh, he's going to go to Mark Andrews here because that's his guy. And sure enough, maybe not last year, but in years past. I mean, come on. Every play's a big game. Play, Jim. Oh, it's a big third down. Oh. Anyway. And my last thing I want to talk about, and I promise after this, I'll get to all your comments, every single one of them. As I lace up my high tops. Now, listen, Kevin Durant, who, as we all know, I'm a fan of, not a huge fan. You know, he's never played for one of my teams. How can you not like Kevin Durant's game, what he's done throughout his career? Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, top scorer in the history of the sport, yada, 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 etc. I bring this up only because it's fodder for sports talk, and I get it. He knows more about the ins and outs of being in a locker room, of being on a championship team with teammates, flights, bus rides, etc., more than I ever will. 1,000%. And he could tell me, if he was sitting right across from me, he could say, Jay Reels, you don't know what you're talking about. You never played. You never did this. You never did that. But one thing I do know, as much as I and every one of you out there are kooks for sports, that if you're going to make a statement the way he did by calling this Sixer team with obviously Jaylen Brown and LeBron James to go along with Joel Embiid and VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, and he's going to want to compare them to the Warrior teams that he was on. First of all, the 3 years that he was in Golden State, and I'm not even going to use 2016-17. That I'm putting to the side. But the 2017-18, which, by the way, won its championship, and they swept the Cavs that year. Not the year before when they beat them in 5. And the year after where KD had the issue with his calf and then obviously the Achilles. We all know what happened. Klay Thompson tore his ACL in Game 6 in the finals against the Raptors. We get all that. But do you know that those two teams in back-to-back years, the 17-18, 18-19 teams, were respectively 58-24 and 57-25. And one of those teams won a title. The other team got to a final. And as I said, I put the 16-17 because, please, that is one of the great teams of all time. I kind of hate to say that. It's not the great team. It's one of. It's probably in the top 10. 67-15. And they were 16-1 in the postseason. They lost one game. And they actually could have swept the entire postseason if it wasn't because of the Game 4 loss in the finals to the Cavaliers. They're one win away from going 16-0. And you know what? You could curse at Kevin Durant all you want. Oh, he was ring chasing. Oh, he left the team that could have beaten the Warriors that were 73-9. They were up 3-1 to the Warriors. And then they spit the bit. Game 6 Clay in OKC. And they talk about all that. And he jumped ship from OKC to the Warriors. And that year they went 67-15 and won the championship. Well, in the annals of NBA history, it is going to be considered one of the great teams of all time. Sorry. That's all there is to it. But that's why I put them aside. Because for him to compare that Sixer team to those teams, it's beyond ludicrous. I'm sorry, KD. You could talk about the talent that's assembled on the Sixer team right now and say, all right, well, as he was quoted, they have 3 25-point scorers that are on the team with Maxey, Embiid, and Jaylen Brown. And you could say 4 if you want to throw in LeBron, but come on, LeBron's not going to average 25 points a game anymore. He'll still average about 20. I get it. But here's the thing. Can we see them go out and do it first? And I understand that it's a hot take from the standpoint of, oh, well, on paper, they could do that. Well, yeah, on paper, the Mets were supposed to go to at least the playoffs this year and maybe even a championship series. What happened? We can talk about paper all we want with a lot of teams in the history of sports. But for him to prematurely say that, and he has a right to say it. He has talk about whatever he wants. And again, he knows more basketball than I do. But as a fan, hearing that comment, comparing it to those teams, it's laughable. It is. Because that team, as I've talked about, the Sixer team, now they've piecemealed their bench little by little, but it's still not a great bench. KCP, I like. Dean Wade, that's going to knock your socks off. Anthony Simons, oh, yeah, he's not bad, but come on. It's Anthony Simons. And then Ariel Hukporty, who's going to back up Joel Embiid, who was on the Knicks last year. And just because he's on the Knicks and won a title didn't mean that he was a main contributor to the team. But now you're going to ask him to play, God knows, 15 or more minutes, considering that Embiid, you got to put him together with thread, needles, Scotch tape, bubblegum, crazy glue, and all that, especially when you get to the midway point and past that of the season. I tell you, it is, I don't know. Oh, when I read that, I almost fell out of my chair. To compare, and I understand, the 20-point scorers, whatever. If these guys are going to be bionic and play 38 to 40 minutes a night throughout the regular season and then do the same in the postseason, and they're successful and win a championship, then maybe. But, that's not going to happen. They're going to be good. That's not to say Sixers are going to be bad. And I don't even know what the over-under number is right now. It's probably too early. But if I had to guess, the Sixer number is probably 54.5. So even if they win 55, it still doesn't match the 17-18, 18-19 Warriors or what they did those 2 years. And forget about the 16-17. Your comments. Let's go. J-Rod, I know. That's why I texted you right before the start. I will say this, J-Rod, much kudos, props to you. I was on Matt Noah. You guys know who Matt Noah is. He's been on several times on these lives. And I was on his live Saturday and met another creator, the advice guy, real nice guy. I believe he goes by the name of Chris. And I was on his live last night while I'm washing dishes, and here I'm trying to type while I have soapy hands, and then I made a mess out of the sink where I had to log off, and then they were going to switch over to StreamYard. I know you people are probably like, J-Reels, no big deal. But it is my opportunity to talk to you, J-Rod, as well as if Chris is on here. I don't even know if he's on. I got to go through the comments. But then after that, throwing out the garbage and finishing up chores for the night, talking to the wife about the week, about certain things. Obviously, I got a lot of things cooking this week. I got another note that I want to talk about, programming, not with this channel, but with something else, with the Steeler latest thing on YouTube, which I'll share in a moment. But, yeah, all these things and his conversations, etc., what's happening. And next thing you know, it was 12:30. And it was, oh, snap. And I see J-Rod had sent me the text for the link and all that. And at that time, I'm getting ready for bed. There's no way I'm going to hop on to the live, and I don't even know if you guys were still on at that point. So I got to owe Chris an apology. And I didn't know. I know you sent me that, but I didn't know I was going to chime in consistently because I know you talked about Friday wanting to do that sports live stream, which I'm all for. And Friday right now is looking good. I can confirm with you and maybe Chris later on. But, yes, but my apologies. I'll own up to it. You know me, transparent, no excuses, etc. So, J-Rod, I'm sorry for not following up and not being a part of that. So, yeah, not a good job on my part. And, yeah, from one thing to the next, things shifted gears, and here I am going to bed, and I look at your text right before I go to bed. I'm like, oh, geez. I know I'm not going to be able to hop on that now. Bio, my man, I know you're riding high. Yes. And I'm sure if there's any updates, because I'm going to go through all these comments, please clue me in. Bastien, my guy from Hong Kong, who's now in the States, which is great. Reds aren't doing the greatest. No, they're not. But I wonder if they're going to make any deals here. And I know Bastien reached out yesterday with the whole Sal Stewart thing. And listen, Sal Stewart, tremendous. To have 86 RBIs, he's leading Major League Baseball. J-Rod Bio, Tigers play the Dodgers in Detroit. Yeah. That's going to be a hot ticket, especially if school's going to start those games. Oh, you already know that is going to be. And listen, there's going to be a video tribute. I would think, and that's going to be interesting, I don't think the fan base will boo Skubal. I think they'll give him a standing O. Now, if he's going to pitch against them, different story. Once that first pitch is thrown, I'm sure there'll be a lot of boos, which they have every right. But Ray, my guy, just give it to the Dodgers. I know, it's looking that way, that's for sure. But listen, if there's one thing you want to hang your hat on, for those who don't like the Dodgers or to think that the Dodgers, I don't want to see them win, two things. They were on the ropes against the Padres 2 years ago in the division series. And you also got to think, last year they were down 3-2 to the Blue Jays and down 4-1 midway through that game in Game 7. Now, I understand we know what happened. But listen, we know that they are going to be the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. And, I mean, think about their rotation. They're going to have Skubal, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and I didn't even throw in Ohtani. And then their bullpen, Tanner Scott's had a bounce-back year. Edwin Diaz, I know the velocity's dipped, but he has plenty of time to ramp it up before he gets to October. You got those two guys. And, oh, by the way, you got Justin Robleski, who was an all-star, and that guy's probably going to be coming out of the bullpen. Bananas. And I didn't even talk about Roki Sasaki. Oh, my goodness. Bastian, we need some good trades. I mean, if you're the Reds, now I got to think about that. Like, who would you give up? Yeah, I mean, you're not giving up any of your young pitching. You're not giving up Andrew Abbott or Hunter Green, not Brown, on the Astros. You're not going to give up Sal Stewart. You're not giving up Ellie De La Cruz. You're not giving up, guys like that where you need to build around. J-Rod Ray, 100% right, yeah. J-Rod hopes so too. We shouldn't even bother to play the game. I hear you, Ray. But you know what? Hey, but we still watch. I know I will. Absolutely. And look, Red Sox go into Chavez Ravine this weekend and they sweep them. I mean, who would have thought that? It happens. Like as I mentioned earlier, at the start. And think about this. This is the one thing about baseball that you got to love. How many games did the 2023 Dodgers win? And Bio's probably right now hanging his head like, oh, I know. The Dodgers won 111 games that year. Look it up. 111. And they got swept by the Diamondbacks, a team that was 20 games behind them in the division. It could happen. Unlikely, but it could happen. Bio, if he does, I may have to go to that game. Oh, yeah, J-Rod, I would see that. Absolutely. Andrew Friedman's a god. I know, and then Friedman clapped back at people saying, oh, we're not ruining baseball, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, in the Dodger farm system. Oh, is that right? They did discuss De La Cruz? Now, why would they do that? I don't understand these teams with their young players. And when is he going to be a free agent? He's probably not going to be a free agent until at least after 2028. Maybe 2029. I don't get it. This is why I said in the beginning, people, you gotta have a floor too. Oh, who posted this? Hold on a second. Leo Morgenstern yesterday. Red Sox made offer for Ellie De La Cruz. But the quote, it would take a decent overpay to get Ellie De La Cruz. Decent? No, I'm fleecing people for that. And listen, Ellie De La Cruz, his star has fallen a little bit. It has. But I can't do that. I mean, why be in the business? All right, I want to see what he had. Oh, here we go. Baseball Reference. This will probably tell me when he's a free agent. Yeah, this year. 276, 1850, 101 hits, 62 runs scored. OPS is not bad. Yeah, you can't trade a guy like that. He's an electric player. He's got power. This is his 4th year. So he's going to be a free agent after 29, probably tops, minimum 28. Did he play a full year? No, he didn't. So he'll be a free agent after 29. Why? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would you think about trading this guy is beyond me. No, here it is. Earliest free agent after the 2030 season. And the guy is 24 years of age. Make it make sense. Bastien, I wouldn't, and again, I'm not trying to make him out to be I threw his name out there before. I didn't want to repeat his name again. But yeah, I'm not making him out to be Nomar Garciaparra, but I mean, come on. Yeah, switch hitter too. Jeez. Let me get back to your comments. Hold on. People said the same thing about the Yankees in the grand scheme of things. I'm generally not mad at it. They're not breaking any rules. They're not playing within the rule. And they're playing. Yeah. No, you're right, Ray. And listen, I was one of those guys that killed the Yankees. Look at all these trades. Blah, 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 blah. And right, now I have the different energy because it's the Dodgers. And not because it's the Dodgers, because, because if the Yankees were doing the same thing, let's say if they're doing the same thing today that they did back then, and of course I've gotten older, wiser, more mature as a sports fan, although, as you know, I can't root for the Yankees to save my life. But I'd be honest and say, oh, they're playing within the rules. They're not doing anything bad. The novice. Dodgers broke baseball. Yes, they did. And that's the thing. The mid-market teams have no shot. None. Unless they have big-time pitching. Come on. Like I said, the Rays to me, I've said it a million times, they're a team that's built for the regular season, not for October. They're not. Bio. If a typical MLB fan was able to attend a Dodger game. Yeah, they do. Now, the one thing it does help out the Dodgers because they play in that old ballpark that seats, 56,000? A lot of the ballparks today, they seat tops 42,000, maybe 45. I know Yankee Stadium, full capacity is 50. But a lot of the ballparks today, they're not going to attract a crowd that's in upwards of 56,000. I think Petco's 42. I know Citi Field's 42. I got to think of these new ballparks. I don't know. Minnesota, what are they? They got to be in the 40s. Marlins Park is like 37,000. So, yeah. I know, but that's what helps in getting 4 million in attendance because they play in that big, beautiful ballpark with the backdrop of the mountains. I think it's a great way because they give us more content to talk about on the channel. They certainly do. You're right about that, Ray. Santa Santa seems to always compete with their wallet. Yeah, I could see that. And I'm sure there's billionaires out there that would love to have a Major League Baseball team. Now, what they do with that is a whole different story. Freddie needed to change the scenery. Probably did. Peralta, that is. I hate to say it. And it's nothing against him. I said this yesterday on my channel. Good riddance. But as always, business, never personal. But it's kind of crazy that teams like my Rams and Dodgers get so much hate because they're trying to win. And the crazy thing is that the Rams are doing it within a salary cap. And they bring in Myles Garrett. And they bring in Trent McDuffie. And they bring in, well, they brought in, of course, Stafford years ago. But yeah, they find a way. Number 22 is out for you guys again. 22. You talking about the Yankees? Who's 22? Is that Ben Rice? I'm trying to pick that one up, Ray. They're going to fight truth. And now against it. Yeah. I got you. I'm just trying to think. Number 22 is out for you guys again. This is what happens when you got to catch up on the comments. Dodgers payroll is $413.6 million. There are only 5 teams that can win a World Series. Yeah, and those 5 teams are as follows. Dodgers, Phillies. Do I even say the Brewers? I'll give them respect. I'll say Brewers. And then it's got to be Rays and Yankees. I don't see the White Sox. I don't see the Guardians. I don't see the Astros. I don't see the Rangers. I don't see the Mariners. Cubs. I don't think so. I mean, think about this. Their payroll could be $600 million. And the other thing is with the new CBA, let's say if they re-sign their player, they can re-sign their players for what? 5 years? And offer them whatever. It's probably going to be 5 years, $250 million. I mean, Duvall's first pitch that he gave a home run, but it's made me smile. Oh, Camille Duvall. Yeah. No, he had a rough go there in the Bronx. Waffle Iron, a.k.a. Rhoda Penmark, Tatsuya Mai, a.k.a. Everyday Mets, Dad Ships, Cowboy Bull, Fuqua Johnson. I don't want to incite a riot in the chat, but how do we as Mets fans just accept this and say this is okay? Tear down Citi Field. I just think the Met fans they're just used to this. It's almost like we're numb to the culture, the losing, it's just typical Mets. I mean, you can't make that up. I know. And here's the thing. I will say this, though, in reference to that comment there, Waffle Line. The only way that you could really stick it to the Mets is by not showing up. And that's hard. Because if you're a Met fan and you have an emotional tie to the franchise, organization, etc., you're going to go out and watch. I mean, that's it. Now, I will say this. I know there's probably going to be a lot more promotional dates from now to the end of the season, and you still have the Carlos Beltran retirement, jersey retirement. I believe it's that next to last Saturday of the baseball season. So, that's going to be a sellout, although I could question whether or not he deserves to get a jersey retirement, and I get it because he got into the Hall of Fame. He was wearing a Met hat. All right. But my thing is, if you don't show up to the games, and let's say as we get deeper into August and into September, when you would think Citi Field wouldn't be able to draw flies, that's when they're going to feel it. That if they had meaningful games on the schedule, that there could be, on a weeknight, 30 to 35,000. Whereas you hope to get that on a weekend when who's still coming in? Who's got to come into town? When the Nats come into town. Marlins already done coming to Citi Field this year. 13 years of 22, that should be fun for you. 13 years of 22. I know. I got to go back. Right now, off the top of my head there, Ray, I'm drawing blanks. And as I catch up to all these comments, hopefully I can piece that together. The American League is wide open in 2026. I got to join your show at some point because I need to vent. I guess that was the next one. Yeah, Ray. We'll definitely talk about that. We'll set that up. Francisco Lindor is $50 million in deferred payments in 20. Interesting. And look at that. It's Mets, Brewers, Red Sox. 20. Wow. Yeah, baseball has to do something about the deferred payments. They have to. Maybe you want to have 2 players max. You can't have a multitude of players getting paid by deferred. And listen, they're not breaking any rules, bending them, etc. But I don't like it. Frey needed to change the series, like I said earlier. Yeah, I know that. I know you refer to laughing your butt off when he goes 7 innings and he gives up 1 run on 4 hits and he strikes out 10. Yeah, for next year. Does he have 3 years? Wow. Yeah, I thought I saw 28. Bio was on top of it. Frank Fleming was right. That's Frank the Tank, who's crazy. This is a great content for channel. The best picture going to. Yes, we are. We're all trying to grow over here. Yeah, I understand. Well, not we, but no, that's a good point, Ray. Let's say best arm. No, I definitely got you. You understand how the firm money works. Right. Yeah, but the one thing that helps with the deferred money is that that's not counting towards the luxury tax. So therefore, they found a loophole to where they could pay them the deferred money and not have to worry about. Because imagine if their payroll was $600 million. Their tax bill would be enormous. But the crazy thing is that the Dodgers could afford it. Imagine if the MLB had the NBA rules. I think if that was the case, there's no such thing. But the Dodgers would be not in the second apron. They'd be in the fourth apron if there was such a thing. I believe one of them guys are gone. Oh, Soto. That 22. I got you. Yeah, 15 years. Unreal. Yeah, if the Yankees get Mason Miller, which you see my face right now, I got to get on. All right, no, we can discuss that. Yankees are the best team to match up, I know. Yeah, but they all have to be healthy, though. That's the thing. They all have to be healthy. There's going to be a stoppage. Yeah, there's that. I totally agree with that. And that's going to be dangerous because let's just say you get to March 1st and no deal has been put in place. You got to have a spring training. You got to stretch out pitchers. You're going to start the season, let's say, I don't know, mid-April. And in doing so, you're going to try to squeeze in 162 games? Or you're going to do like you did in 95, play 144? I don't know. Ray, you think they are? Wow. Nah, I don't know who to believe. Rain's win. Yeah, I think. Who do I? If I had to say right now who's going to win a division, yeah, I'm going to still say the Mariners. I think they'll find a way at some point down the stretch. I turn my stomach here. You talk about the Astros. Tigers Dodgers World Series and the Tigers Hands Terrace. Oh my God, can you imagine? Let me see. Yeah, that'd be crazy. That Tiger Dodgers series is gonna be great at the end of the month. Turn my stomach. Oh yeah. Well, Tigers 2 series coming up. Rays Dodgers. Have a shot. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. If Skubal makes it, I'm just trying to figure it out here. If Skubal makes his debut, yeah, it's too far down the road. Hang on. Yeah, it's too far down the road. Because I'm just sitting here. I was reading your comment there, Bio. I know it's nuts for me to even think this now, considering that Detroit, that's what, 28, 29, 30th? I was trying to picture in my head. All right, so if he goes Tuesday, then he's going to pitch Sunday, then he's going to pitch that day. But who knows? There's going to be a day off. They're going to skip starts. So, yeah, I can't even forecast that now. If it was maybe less than 2 weeks out or 2 weeks out, I could probably figure it out. But, yeah, no, that's too much to handle at this moment. He's pitching for the Dodgers against the Tigers in that series. Oh, I would like to see that, and I hope so. Yeah, no, it is a little too far away. As I was trying to figure it out on the top of my head. When I watch that game, you know exactly what day of the week it is. Wait, 28th, 29th, and 30th. That's a weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm sure that will be the last Sunday night game. If Skubal pitches that on NBC. Then the following week, you do have the college football. And I don't think they want to go up against college football. NBC, that'll be on Peacock. And then you have the football season where obviously they're going to take over. So. I'm sure you probably have the answer to that already. That was 40 minutes ago. All right. Dodgers catcher Ben Rodford from the Mets. Chase McDermott. Yeah. Yeah, Ben Rodford. Yeah, he used to play for the Yankees. He was also on the, too? Wasn't he on, I want to say Tampa. Yeah, so he's bounced around a lot. Yep, there it is. J-Rod's on top of it. That is in Detroit. Yep, get your popcorn ready, yeah. Oh, countdown to Michigan. 5 weeks. Boo Chris Olave. Yeah, exactly. I know. Ohio State. Cannot predict baseball, but I would be shocked if the Dodgers did not make the World Series. No, I'd be shocked if they don't make the World Series either, I have to say. I'm with you on that, Ray. 2 of the top 10 catches I've ever seen live. Really? Wow. No, Olave's good. What is good content for my channel? Well, yeah, obviously this is good content when you think about just this trade alone. Charles Woodson interception against Michigan State in 97. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Best catch I've ever seen. Wow. I think of the Woodson interception in the Rose Bowl against Ryan Leaf when he came through in the back of the end zone. That was really good. Danny White better than Romo. I understand his stats aren't going to match up to Romo's. Danny White. Sean, and cheers to you. Danny White was game. For those who remember, Danny White was also the punter on the Cowboys, as well as the quarterback. I'd probably still take Romo, but, well, White was good. Wasn't great. And that's Romo. He was good. Wasn't great. Ray, go out in the street and beat people up. Uh-oh. By not firing Stearns, I know Waffle Line. I love your comments. When Mendoza was canned. I couldn't have said that better myself. And just knowing, trading for Peralta and having to trade him within that, in that season, is all you need to know about David Stern's tenure here in New York. Yeah, Steve Cohen, he's another one. He's a fraud. I've said it before. Just watched a video of Tarik Skubal meeting Dave Roberts. Oh, the top rope. Yeah, I saw that in the dugout. Hey, that's funny, J-Rob, because when I saw it, I actually kissed my face. And the polar opposite. Who are the 2026 world champions in basketball? Well, we know who that is, Ray. I mean, you want to say the 26-27, different story, but yeah, we know who the champs are. And listen, you can bask in it and gloat. Oh, hey, listen, you have the right. You most definitely do. Can't you, man? Of course, that would be greatly appreciated. Yes, that would be the Knicks. Oh, can I also say this too? I read a quote, and back me up on this, Ray, if you can. Did Carmelo Anthony recently come out and said that, oh, I can never give up $113 million? to bring in other players onto my team. And then he also said that for him to think that he's going to make up that $113 million off the court or whatever, blah, 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 that's not going to happen. I hope that wasn't clickbait because, and I saw that on Threads. And when I read that, I said, Carmelo, we know you're an all-time great. I got nothing but respect for Carmelo Anthony. Great scorer, 6'8", phenomenal. But do you understand that Jalen Brunson is an immortal in New York forever because of what he did? He is an immortal. Jalen Brunson, they can wheel out Jalen Brunson when he's 80 years old at Madison Square Garden, let's say during a playoff run 50 years from now, and let's say if the Knicks don't win another championship till then, he will get standing O's and get bowed upon forever. Carmelo Anthony will not. That's the difference. And look, wherever he goes now, gets in the clubs. And listen, I understand Carmelo did too back then, but there is no ifs, ands, buts, babies about it. Jalen Brunson could go into any establishment in New York City, and the red carpet will be rolled out just for him. End of story. And that's not to say Carmelo can't get into a restaurant or whatever, but they'll be more than happy. Carmelo's one of the top 75 players of all time. Understood. But remember, when he signed that contract, Phil Jackson, who I know he was hoping that it wouldn't be the case, I believe Carmelo signed, I think it was $121 million, but he could have signed $126. So he saved the franchise $5 million to go out and get players. I mean, come on. It's comical. But no, he said, no, I could get paid 200 and whatever you got. Let's say 250 million, but he said, no, I'm taking less so we could get more. And the guy is, as we've said, and a lot of people said, he's king of New York. He is. Ray, good content for your channel. Be anything Knicks and Yankees. Talk about how the Knicks will repeat, how the Yankees beat the Dodgers. Yeah, absolutely. At least it's all one in my lifetime now. I can finish the rest of my life happy, whatever happens. Yeah, they 100%. I appreciate that, J-Rod. I know. But still, I should have done better with that as I look into the camera here. Yeah. But no, if we're going to do Friday, now I know he does 10 o'clock. I may be a little bit late because you know me and my voice. It carries. If he does it a little bit early, that would help. Because remember, I live in an apartment. If I live in a private house where I could just go into my back room or office, whatever, that'd be great. But yeah, we'll see. But I'll definitely be down for that. I'll get Tarik Skubal in Detroit. Now, you know what? I will say this. If it's his turn in the rotation, that's going to be interesting. Bio, let's bring this up. If he pitches, let's say let's look at their schedule. And Bio, listen, you're not a good sports fan. You're not even a great sports fan. You're an excellent sports fan. So I think I know what the answer would be. I'm pulling up the Dodgers schedule now. And again, it's still way off to even think about it. But I hope it's a scenario where they don't have a day off where they could actually skip him. And this is why the schedule is important right now. Hello, Dodgers. Here we go. Let's see. They play the Brewers next week at home, which is going to be interesting. Dodgers, that is. And I got to look how they did earlier this year. Didn't they take 2 out of 3, Milwaukee? I can't remember that. Oh, I take that back. They play a 4-game series. Milwaukee at LA next week. I mean, that series is going to be more for Milwaukee than the Dodgers. That's for damn sure. All right, here we go. They play in Atlanta Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I like that because they have a day off Monday. Now, here's the tricky thing. If they're going to go on a 6-man rotation, which they probably will, And if Skubal pitches against the Pirates, he's going to have to pitch against Detroit. Because let's say if he pitched Friday against Pittsburgh, that's the 21st, and they have a 6-man rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll pitch Friday against. I mean, he could pitch in Atlanta. Wait, let me make sure I got that right. No, he can't pitch Friday because he'll pitch in Atlanta. If he pitches Saturday or Sunday against the Pirates, he has to pitch against Detroit. Has to. If he pitches Friday, he could pitch Thursday against Atlanta, in Atlanta. But if he's toes the rubber the 22nd or 23rd at home against Pittsburgh, he's going to have to pitch the following weekend against Detroit. And my question is that if that's going to be the case, he can't skip a start. I don't want, I got a hammy, or because that's going to look bad. Now, if he's legitimately hurt, heaven forbid, arm or whatever, all right. And if he misses his start against Pittsburgh and doesn't pitch against Atlanta, doesn't get penciled in. Now, if he skips his start against Pittsburgh and then they pencil him in Atlanta, that's going to look fishy. But if he gets scratched that Saturday, Sunday, and then does not pitch against Detroit, all right, no problem. But if he pitches against the Pirates and then his turn against the Tigers, all of a sudden, now he can't pitch. Not good. In my eyes, that's not going to be good. And I think you would also agree, too, with that, Bio. If he's scheduled to start in that series, he's got to pitch. He's got to. And why would he not want to take the ball? I understand he had the teary farewell and everything. No, he's a competitor. Yeah, and if the Dodgers don't pitch him there, even if it's Dave Roberts, I'm choosing not to. No. That's going to be like a playoff game. But if those games fall on one of the start. Yep, J-Rod's saying it. Here we go. I don't think Dodgers want to go through all those emotions of leaving, just having focus on pitching. Well, then that's similar to what. I understand it's a position player. It's different. I know when Freddie Freeman went back to Atlanta. But now, Bio, how do you personally feel about that? All right, you may say that the Dodgers don't want him to go through all those emotions, but you as a fan, are you thinking, you know what? If he doesn't pitch, I'm fine with that. Or you're like, all right, I can see why the Dodgers are doing it, but I don't like it. I think your answer would be the latter than the former. Bananas, hope he slips and fall. Banana peel on his way to the mat. Philly. Hope you're still with us. This was what, 12-12? A half hour ago. I'm still catching up on these comments. I did say I was going to go through all of them. I never want to see Alec Bowman in a Phillies uniform again. So what does that mean? Does Bryson Stott go to third? And Luis Arias is at second? Yeah, Bowman's scary at third. He's not a good defensive player. He's got a decent bat, but yeah, I would get him out. Wow, good point. It's not great with his emotions on the mound. It's been doubtful. I agree. Well, no. Well, here's the thing. And you're right about that, J-Rod, as we've talked about. But come on. He's got to pitch. J-Rod, Dave Rod doesn't play his full hand. Why? Why does he not play his full hand? Yeah, I don't understand why Dave Roberts would do that. So you mean to tell me that he's not going to play his full hand against a Tiger team that is unlikely to go to a World Series? But I don't know. I do not agree with that. How would a Clay Holmes trade work with his player option for next season with a lockout pending? Well, he's only getting paid, what is it, $12 million? Only 12. So it's not like it's a ton of money for a starting pitcher. Yeah, I think a team would take that risk. And it's only one more year. So, yeah, I don't think that would be an issue. Now, if it was, let's say, Blake Snell, not that he would be traded, but if it was Blake Snell where he has 3 more years at $30 million a year, a different story. But 1 year at 12, yeah, I don't see that being a problem. I wouldn't do it either, Ray. That's what I mean. Extra walk-ons. Yep. As we saw last year with the Reds. And what happened? They got spanked by the Dodgers. There's no team in sports I would beg to differ. I would beg to differ in that. Now, the Dodger fans do travel well. I'm not disputing that. Or the Niner fan. And I understand. There's here comes Jay Real. He's going to break out the pom-poms for his team. Steeler fans travel excellent. I mean, listen, as you've seen, when Steelers at Chargers, I think it's like 70-30 Steeler fans. Or when they go to Baltimore, Cleveland's a 2-hour car ride. That's not even fair. Steeler fans travel well. And, look at the Super Bowls. The Super Bowl in Detroit, which was 200 and some odd miles. They traveled there. That was Tampa. Steelers fans travel really well. But no, Dodger fans travel well too. The Niner fan? I don't know. Does the Niner fan go into Lambeau? Now, there are Niner fans everywhere. That I admit, but that's interesting. Yeah, in the NFL, we see Cowboy fans everywhere. You see Packer fans. What else? I can see Patriot fans. Yeah, Patriots aren't really a national team despite their success this decade. 22 for the Mets is Soto, yes. I know, I didn't get that early. I was trying to think, but no, you're right, Waffle Line. I screwed that one up. Yeah, for TV too. But also for those teams that are on the fringe. But yeah, definitely that novice, 100%. Yeah, sorry, I had to go there. Bio, it's all good. You already know. Business, never personal. That's how I felt about a new index for 2026. And then we'll give it back. What happens in my life? I'm not content. As you should. Ray, as you should. Losing isn't okay, Met t-shirt campaign. Yeah, that's more to the owner. Val just woke up. Val, greetings. Yeah, we could do that. Losing isn't okay with the blue and orange lettering. Yes, Val. Did you get swept by the Padres? I think you did, right? I hate to say that, bring that up now, but hold on. Yeah. Oh, no. It was a 4-game series, so they won the first game. The battle for last in the AL and the NL overall. The Mets may have a worse record than the Colorado Rockies when the year's over. Any more to words, you can't make it up. All right. All the hellos I see from Val. Across the board. Yes, he is, Val. That's what we've been talking about early on. Honestly, the Dodgers are good for baseball. You know what? I can't argue with that, Denovis. I cannot. I think, but that's why I mentioned earlier, there has to be a floor too. Because these teams, they have to spend money to compete. Nobody's saying they have to break the bank. Nobody's saying that they have to spend $250, $300 million. That goes to the Rays, the Marlins, etc. But come on. The Marlins, let's go through the payrolls. 2026, I should go to just, what you call it, MLB payrolls. Sport Track. As crazy as this is right now, yeah, the Met payroll is $321 million. I guess it's the right to second, right? Dodgers, $311. Miami's payroll is $80 million. $80 million. The Guardians, their payroll is less than the Marlins. $74 million. And both of those teams are in contention. The Nationals. Now, the Nationals are different from the standpoint of they're trying to rebuild their team after the whole Steven Strasburg, and their payroll is $92 million. But they'll spend. They have spent in the past. Notorious Strasburg, Max Scherzer. I understand it was 11 years ago. And then the Cardinals, where they shouldn't even be this low, $94 million. Those 4 teams that I just listed in order: Guardians, Marlins, Nationals, Cardinals. Those are the bottom 4 teams, and the Guardians are last. Last in payroll, Marlins second to last, Nationals third, and Cardinals fourth. Cardinals shouldn't be at $94 million. And I get it when they traded Arenado and even Goldschmidt years ago. But that's a disgrace. Cardinals, their payroll is usually in the high hundreds to the low 200s. And these teams, look at Pirates, White Sox. White Sox shouldn't be at 96. It should be higher than that. The Brewer payroll is at 135. I mean, and people could say, oh, well, those teams have played well. There's your competitive balance. No, because again, I said it before. You think they're going to have sustained excellence in those towns? Imagine if the Marlins right now at $80 million. Imagine if you just doubled their payroll. Crazy as this may sound, they could be competing with the Braves for the division. Now, I understand you got to get the right talent in there, but come on. So let's say if the floor was $160 million, that all these teams down here. And think about this. Let's say if the payroll was 160. I want to say 160 just for this discussion. Do you know that there are right now 13 teams in Major League Baseball that are below $160 million as far as payroll goes? And those teams include, by the way, it's not like that they're all bad. Brewers, Tampa, Pirates, White Sox, and the aforementioned 4 teams at the bottom who are in a playoff race. And the crazy thing is, the Angels, the Rangers. It's funny how the Diamondbacks are up there. And you think about that. I just understand they spent a lot on pitching, but they don't have like big-time position players that are making, what, Ketel Marte? Even hey. It's crazy with the payrolls. But it needs to be fixed. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's right. And they just gave away the bobblehead. As you know, we were there that night, last Saturday. Will there be a stoppage next year? Oh, my God. Imagine, get ready for this. How about, imagine if this was your World Series, a Marlins Twins World Series. They wouldn't draw flies to that. It's not going to happen. But a Marlins Twins World Series, that would be the lowest rated World Series by far. And I don't care how hot they get. I don't care how they could steamroll through the postseason. Marlins could go, what? If they played 2 wildcard games, 2, 5, 9. They could go 9-0 into a World Series. And the same for the Twins. And they could destroy these teams. No one's going to care. Will there still be a stoppage? I think there will be. I think there has to be. It has to be. In my eyes, and I'll say it one more time, if they took the whole year to get it right, I'm all for it. Yes, it would be. Well, it'll be great theater in August. I don't know about a World Series, though. I mean, it would be great in a World Series, but I don't know if they're going to make it. Yes, it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, Danny, no. Is that for Danny White? Because he was supposed to be a missing piece for... Oh, my God, I know. Jeez Louise. Angels trade Joe Adell to the Guardians. And, yeah, Adell's a good player, too. 100%. Baltimore trades. Bio, I appreciate the updates. Taylor Ward, who they brought in to bring in offense, and they send him back out to Seattle. Well, because he was from the Angels before that. So Joe Adell. See, that's a typical Guardian trade. What's Adele's numbers this year? I know Adele, didn't he have like 3? He robbed 3 home runs in one game, including a walk-off? Or what? No, not a walk-off. Maybe it was a walk-off. Yeah, Joe Adele's got some pop. 239, 1662. Joe Adele goes by Jordan, by the way, for those who are curious. Yeah, I mean, he's a good defensive player. $16.62. He had 37 homers last year. 37.98, 236, 16.62. Yeah, power numbers are down. Oh, last year he had last year he had 37 home runs. Prior to that, he had 20 home runs. And then all those other games, he played 38, 35, 88, 17, where he had 3, 4, 8, and 3 home runs. His first full year was in 24, 2062, 207. Then 37.98, 236, and then 16.62, 239. He's played in 111 games. Yeah, that's a typical Guardian move, though. Hey, I'll make you uncomfortable. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And I heard your name in the chat room yesterday with Advice Guy. So I appreciate that. And I'll make sure to subscribe to you. I'll see if I can do that right now on the fly, or if not, I will definitely sub. But thank you, man. I appreciate that. Or it could be a woman. I don't know. And I'm not saying that to this. I just don't want to assume that you're a guy. But I would think by saying, hey there, bud. Hold on a second. I'm going to look you up right now. Yeah, but I'll be sure to follow and subscribe for sure, man. You're 100% right, Mr. Brunson in New York. Yep. Nope. You got that right, Donavis. Yes, it does. What happened with Gossman? He stayed. No, he got traded to the Cubs. Got traded to the Cubs. I think it was late last night or early this morning. So Gossman is heading to a pennant race, just like he was last year, as you know. There's also rest days because they're going to September. Yes. No, definitely aware of that too. 3 days off between Tuesday and Detroit series. I don't see him pitching. Yeah, no, that's why I mentioned if he pitched in the Saturday or Sunday game against the Pirates, because then after that, they do have a day off, and then they play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Atlanta, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Detroit. So if he pitched and doesn't get injured, Saturday or Sunday, if he pitched Saturday, he'll be due to pitch Friday. And if he pitched, or even if it's a 6-man rotation, he'll be due to pitch Saturday. And if he pitches Sunday, he'll be due to pitch the following Sunday. Now, we have to wait and see as we get closer, but that would be bad for baseball if he doesn't pitch in Detroit, and especially if he's scheduled to pitch, because people will look forward to that. Oh, is that the last American League team they played this season? Wow. So from there on out, it's all National League. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Dodgers playing winter. But my thing is, if he's scheduled to start that weekend, he's got to pitch. Am I wrong saying that? And you're right. The Dodgers are playing to win the World Series. And remember, Skubal was out how long with an elbow? And you can say, well, that's the reason why. But if he's healthy to pitch now, why not? Now we're going to do load management in baseball? I don't know. I disagree with you guys. Listen, if he's not scheduled to start that series, then that's fine. And even, let's say, for instance, and we'll go with a 6-man rotation, but let's say he pitched that Saturday and he's scheduled to pitch the following Saturday in Detroit. Why skip him? Why? Or what? So now if he's scheduled to pitch Saturday and maybe we don't want to move him up to pitch Thursday because that's 5 days, now you're tweaking the rotation. Now you're just going to do that for Skubal? To me, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And if that's Dave Roberts' way of managing his rotation, that's fine. But in my eyes as a fan, that's not right. It's not. Because trust me, if that was my team, I'd want him to pitch. I don't get it. Trust me, if that was the Mets and they got Skubal and they were going, now they already played Detroit at Citi Field, but let's just say, if I'm a Dodger fan, I want him to pitch. And we're going to see as we get closer, as we're going to monitor this when we get deeper into the month. If he is scheduled to pitch that weekend, I want to see him pitch. And anything that comes in, now, barring a major injury, if it's major, then all right, fine. If Dave Roberts says, "Oh, we're skipping his start because," I will destroy Dave Roberts for that. I have to. Why have him on your team? Punted Friday against the Red Sox. Oh, what did he do? What, was he supposed to start somebody then? Let me see. Friday. I got to go through Friday's schedule. Oh, it lost 9-4. Oh, so yeah, when they scored the 5 runs in the 7th, maybe. I know they lost the game. I didn't follow it that close. Oh, I didn't realize you guys got Cole Irvin. That was a former national pitcher. And an Oriole, too, for that matter, yeah. Oh, so you called off the Dogs after that? Is that what it is, I guess? Yeah, and you started a bullpen game that game, too. And then Irwin, all right. Yeah, I'll probably have to catch up to the comments there because where am I? 12:43 and it's 1 o'clock. All right, hold on. Add the baseball fan. I would love to see there from age on the Mount Detroit. Yeah, I want to see that. The Eagles travel. We take over stadiums. Yeah, no, the Eagles, I know for Super Bowls, they go down there now. They represent too, the Eagles. Yeah, and they have, I'm trying to think, that playoff game against Tampa. Because you've had a lot of home games in the playoffs over the last few years. And rightfully so. You guys have been great. Dodgers brought up 2 pitchers to pitch against Boston this weekend. Just DFA 2 gold pitchers the next day. Yeah, I know they've been pitching some openers as of late. Blue Jay fans are everywhere. Are you a Blue Jay fan? I'll make you feel uncomfortable. That's Little League World Series. Yeah, it is. Little League World Series. Val also agrees with that. He seems to take our money. Takes mercy when we watch it. Just start today. Yeah. No, I get it. But sadly, baseball teams, they don't do that. From shared revenue. Make it make sense. Yeah, no, that's a joke too. And they put the money in their pockets. And that's why there needs to be a floor. That's why they need to spend money. And they could say, hey, we're the Marlins. We're still in a playoff hunt. Yeah, but still, come on, don't pocket that. Invested in the team. Look at this. The Dodgers, which again, they're not doing anything wrong. They've won 2 World Series. They have the best record in Major League Baseball, and they still go out to get one of the best pitchers in the sport. You think they're resting on their laurels? No. Dodgers brought a Cole Irvin. Yeah. And got bombed. And then was DFA'd the very next day. Wow. An American League team. Yeah, but should that really be the... I would think you want to play against them. I think you want to show all your cards against the American League team, even if you're going to face them down the road. I don't understand that logic in baseball. I really don't. You know, it's not like the NFL or not even the NBA. Yeah, I don't understand that logic in baseball, if you ask me. for Dave Roberts to say, "Oh, we're playing against American League team, so we don't want to show all our cards." You're only going to see one American League team when it's all said and done, and that's less than 3 months from now. Why would you care about an American League team on August 2nd, 3rd? I'm just throwing this out there for argument's sake. Why would you think about, oh, we don't want to show all our cards against a team that chances are you're not even going to play in a World Series because of an American League team? Dave Roberts, I don't know that logic. To me, that I don't know. Bio, make that make sense for me. I don't get it. Listen, if you're in the NFL and let's say it's a week 18 and you're going to play a team, you're playing a division team because we all know they play division teams at the end of the year. But chances are you may face that team in the playoffs the following week. And listen, in a case, let's say like Ravens, Steelers last year, now they weren't going to play one another. It was a win-or-go-home deal. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it was going to be a scenario where Ravens play Steelers and you're both making the playoffs. And chances are you're going to face one another in the playoffs the following week. All right, that could happen. I could see where you're not going to show your hand to play all your players. A, you don't want to get hurt. B, you want to rest guys. And C, you're not going to have all your tricks out of the bag because if you're going to do that, then what are you saving for the following week? That I can understand. But for Dave Roberts to say, oh, no, we don't want to show all our hands because we want to put Cole Irvin or Irwin in the game. Is it Irwin or Irvin? Let me make sure I say that right. Yeah, it's Irvin. Cole Irvin in the game because we're playing against an American League team because we don't want to. I'm not buying that. And I could if I'm a reporter and I'm face to face with him and I'm gonna say, "Oh, why'd you throw in Cole Irvin?" and his answer is, "Oh, because it's an American League team." I'm gonna answer that. It's like, well, why would that matter today? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I don't know. Now they play the Brewers, as you know, as I mentioned, and I'm sure you knew anyway. 4 games, the end of next week. You're gonna want to beat that team, and I get it. Maybe to a certain extent. Even that, I don't understand the logic. Oh, well, we don't want to. Let's say we're not putting Tarik Skubal in that series because if we see him in October. No, if we see him, what if you lose in the division series? Or if the Brewers get spanked? Whatever. I don't understand that. I don't know. That does not. I'm not buying that one. Jordell did rob 3 home runs in 1 game, yes. Yes, I did see that too. I know. Looking at the Dodgers schedule, go 6-1 season. Will not pitch this joint series. He pitched the game after that series. All right. Yeah, chances are they got to go 6-man, right? Because even without Ohtani, so now you're going to go Skubal, Robleski, and not in this order, of course. Skubal, Robleski, Yamamoto. I guess they're still going to have an opener until Ohtani gets back. So you got, let's say, the opener. Yamamoto. Wait, I said wrong, right? All right, let's start over again. Skubal, Yamamoto, Sasaki, Robleski, an opener, and Emmett Sheehan. That would be your rotation, no? And then until Ohtani gets back, then you take out your opener and you put Ohtani in. I'd rather pitch Skubal at home against St. Louis. Oh, that's who you play afterwards? Then in Detroit. Let me ask you this, Bio. I don't know if it's going to matter at the end of the day because you know I brought up this scenario a million times over. And because he's on your team now, how do you feel about Skubal's toughness and his heart? And you know the scenario. I talked about it all from last year when it happened into the offseason, et cetera. Game 5 against the Mariners. And I understand Dave Roberts is also going to comply. Dave Roberts is going to be a guy that's going to say, no, I need 8 innings from you tonight. He's going to be like, hey, give me all you got in 6 innings and we'll pull you for the bullpen. I get it. If I'm managing the Dodgers, I want Skubal in the fire. I want to see him perform. And we know he's talented. We know he's a great pitcher. I get that. But I want to see what's in here. And to me, he got off the hook with that game last year. Oh, I gave you all I got, 6 innings, 99 pitches. Well, how come in the previous series against the Guardians in game 1, you went into the 8th inning and you were at 114 pitches? And that was a game 5 to go to a championship series. At 99 pitches going into the 7th inning, you can't give me one more inning? As it was, the next inning, what happened? Kyle Finnegan came in and he spit the bit, tied the game. If you're Tarik Skubal, if I was Tarik Skubal, I'd be sick. Knowing that I could have been in there in the 7th inning. But I understand the pitcher's mentality and him, I got to get paid. I don't want to get hurt. I'm sorry. That guy's a horse. That guy, I'm pitching him till the wheels fall off. I don't care what your contract is. I don't care if Scott Boras is whispering in my ear. I said, no, we're trying to win. He is not a 6-inning pitcher. Listen, I get it. Maybe I'm more old school. Maybe I'm more, and trust me, if he was on my team, I'd say the same thing, Bio. If I saw, he's not on the team anymore, but Andy Green, if Skubal was on the Mets and he goes out there in the 5 2/3 and they're taking him out for 90 pitches, I'm having a fit. A fit. Or 6 2/3 for that matter. No, he needs to finish that inning. But I got to say, I'm a little surprised by that. A little surprised. And again, it's business, not personal. Business. I'm a little surprised. Blue Jays fans and Yankees. Wait, you're a Blue Jay fan and a Yankee fan? That's making me uncomfortable. Yeah, no, I'd want him to pitch. Listen, I want him to pitch. Now, again, if he's not scheduled to start, that's one thing. But I want him to pitch in that game if he's scheduled to start. And if I'm Dave Roberts, I'd be like, hey, listen, I understand it's emotional, whatever, but you know what? I want to see you get through this. Think of this game as a game in October where we need a win. And maybe Skubal will be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. But then again, and it's not just Dave Roberts. It's a lot of these managers. A lot of these managers aren't going to tell this guy, hey, I want you to go out there and give me 7 innings. At least that. Ray, I think it would make sense that it would be the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. Yankees are playing to be the ones from winning 3 in a row. Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. Freddie Freeman plays. Yeah, listen, he was a guy that was going to be sacrificed to the Lambs. He had to eat up. They weren't going to go to another bullpen guy at that point. So I could see that. USC Notre Dame, a new series start in 2030. Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be, listen, October in South Bend, and then usually right after Thanksgiving, 100%. We're going to see what's cool. Oh, no, absolutely. We are. And no, he's not, Val, he's not hurt, but he's not able to pitch just yet. In fact, his last start was a month ago today, where he hasn't been able to pitch since then because of a knee. But going back to this. Oh, I got news for you. Oh, man. Now, he probably started home. I get that. But let's just stay, just for argument's sake. Could you imagine? And they had the home field last year. That's not to say they're going to have it this year, but what if they played the Phillies? I guess I have to think about how that would shake down. But let's just say, for argument's sake, he pitches game one against the Phillies in a division series. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. In a championship series. Skubal, game 1. Series is tied 2-2. Game 5 in Philadelphia. Boy, we're going to see what's going on. And not only that, I don't want to see 6 innings at 99 pitches. No. I want to see him battle, scratch, fight, claw, bite. And Bio, you know this game. Let's talk about this. Game 5, Division Series, 2015. Jacob deGrom was on the ropes in that game. On the ropes. Walking guys, trying to get in and out of jams the whole night. He went 6 innings. All right, you're going to say Jay Reels, big whoop. So what? And then Syndergaard came in, pitched 2 innings, lights out, and then Familia won the game. Not to bring up bad memories, but I bring up deGrom for this reason only. He gutted out those 6 innings. Do you know how many pitches he threw in that game? 120 pitches. Let's look it up. I know that for a fact. And it may be on the dot. It may be 121. It may be 1. And I want to hear it. Tarik Skubal, if you're the guy, if you're the man, you gut out those games. You fight through those games. You throw 120 pitches if it means your season is on the line. And for deGrom, it was on the line. He said, I'm emptying the tank. I'm not leaving at 100. I'm not leaving at 110. I'll leave at 120. I haven't seen Skubal do that yet. And until he does it, then I could say, like in the movie, at the end, when Tupac falls off the roof and Omar Epps, who played Q in the movie Juice, when he's coming out, and right there at the top of the rooftop, they said, you got the juice. That's what I want to see. Let's go back to that damn playoff game, because now you got me fired up. Not you per se, Bio, because you know I love you. I do. But Skubal, he is going to be a lightning rod from here on out. Now, forget it. And J-Rod, I'm sure he's probably doing backflips right now, because I know how he feels about Skubal at this moment. Playoffs. That's what I want to see. I want to see a guy who's going to gut it out. I want to see a guy that's going to be like, you know what? I don't care if there's 100,000 people in the building and they're rooting against me. I got you. 2015. NLDS. Game 5. Let's go. And deGrom won the game on top of that. Here we go. Here's his line. You know what? I'm an idiot. I overstated his pitches. He threw 105. I thought it was in the 120s. I know one of those games in the postseason he threw 120. So I was off by 15 pitches. So that I got to own up to. My bad. Terrible job by me. Terrible. He did throw 105 in 6 innings, and he labored. 2 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. I got to go back. Let me see. Was it game 1 that he had that game? Because game 1, I remember he struggled through that game too. Here's the game. I got my games mixed up. And he pitched great in that game 1. He threw 121 pitches in game 1, and the Mets won 3-1, and he didn't labor through that game. He went 7 innings. Did he go 7 plus? No. 7 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts. 121 pitches in game 1 of that series. So I got my games mixed up, because I remember he did throw 120 some odd pitches, but it was game 1. But in game 5, I remember he labored. I said, we'd be lucky if he even gets through 5. He got through 6, and he threw 105 pitches. That's what I want to see out of Skubal. Oh, here we go. Bio. Skubal against that Philly lineup. Yeah, a lot of lefty versus lefty, but here's the thing. As I said before, and I'll say it again. And you know this. You follow the sport. I don't have to tell you. How did the Phillies do in the rest of that series against the Astros after game 4? And Harper and everybody hit home runs in that game 3. I think they won 8-0, did they not? I'll go back and check that. They got no hit the next game by Christian Javier. And then Verlander, who he even had to cut out 5 innings. I think he threw like 90-something pitches. They couldn't hit Verlander. And then game 6, Zach Wheeler pitched, and then Alvarado came up and gave the home run to Alvarez. That was it. 2023 against the Diamondbacks. They had a 3-2 lead. And who pitched in those 2 games? There may have been Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. Good pitchers. I mean, listen, they're not Koufax and Drysdale or Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling of 01 Diamondback fame. They couldn't muster up a hit in that series, in those final 2 games. The Mets series, do I even need to go through that? How they couldn't buy a run in that series? And listen, the Mets weren't throwing out Matt Harvey in his heyday, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, etc. Come on, Jose Quintana, who the Dodgers lit up in the next series? Luis Severino? I mean, come on. And listen, Philly's lineup is lethal. It could be no joke. And look at last year. You saw all those games. They got to a 3-0 lead. It was a game 1. And they came back and won that game. Yeah, because we talked about that where Kike had the big hit. Yeah, it's weird. They don't have gamers like that. I know Harper hit the home run against Robert Suarez to go to the World Series that year in 2022. But yeah, they have more failures. And I get it. They're going to be more failures than successes. But I don't trust that team. I don't. I had a dream that Kirk went to the Yankees. Alejandro Kirk. All right, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Yeah, because I'm with you. I'm with Ray on this. Definitely. I got to get to back right to this. Right, great week. All right, make you comfortable. I appreciate that. Oh, you don't have it? Yeah, I can't say that I subscribe if you like both teams. And again, not personal, business. Because my thing is that I'm sure you're rooting for the Blue Jays, but if you like both teams, watching the division series last year, I mean, that had to be a little rough, no? I'm sure he's left us already, but I think Yamamoto will be number 1 for the Dodgers. Now, as you should be, I think. Absolutely. Skubal is also unrestricted free agent after the season. You want to keep him healthy before. You see, but that's the problem I have with that. The novice, if that's the case, then don't start him the rest of the year. Don't. Wait till October. Case closed. Don't have him pitch. Maybe have him pitch once a week. Have him pitch 5 innings each game, once a week. That's fine. That's enough, right? Once a week. He'll throw 80 to 90 pitches to be safe. 5, maybe if he gets into the 6th inning, and then we'll pull him. And wait till October. Put him on ice. And when the Dodgers close the division by Labor Day, and when they can really take the rest of the month off, then you know what? We'll tell Tarik Skubal, Andrew Friedman, Dave Roberts, all right, Tarik, yeah, we'll have you throw some simulator games in the bullpen, maybe with some batting practice, and maybe we'll put you in for a game against the Giants, the next to the last series of the year, but we're only going to throw 5 innings. That's it. And then we'll get you ready for the division series. No, and you know what? That would be Scott Boras getting into into the Dodgers here. Because, we got to protect this client. Aren't you in the business to win games and win the World Series? Dodgers playing chess, not checkers. I don't know, man. Maybe my logic is off, or maybe I'm just a nut. I don't know. No, this one I know for sure, Ray. Now, I get it. And that was a do-or-die game. Mets needed to win that game, and Allider was their ace. You know how many pitches he threw that game? And I'm going to be right. I'm going to throw the number out now. I'm not going to confirm it like I did before with DeGrom in Game 5 when I was Game 1. But I believe Al Leiter, Game 5 of the 2000 World Series at Shea Stadium, got into the 9th inning. He gave up to hit the Luis Sojo, the ball that bounced like 4,000 times before it squeezed through the infield. Al Leiter threw 142 pitches in that game. Now, 26 years ago, it was 40 lifetimes in baseball circles. But yeah, 142. 2000. Hold on. And I got to see how many pitches he threw in game one because I believe he pitched 6 innings in game one. Oh, God, that game haunts me forever. Armando Benitez. And game one's of the World Series for the Mets. Oh, jury's familiar against the Royals, too. Al Leiter in game 5 of the 2000 World Series threw exactly 84 strikes and... Is that right? No, hold on. Yeah. He threw 84 strikes and 58 balls for a total of 142 pitches. I mean, and funny enough, in the same game, Andy Pettit, 7 innings, 2 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Leiter was 3 runs, 7 hits. I should say 4 runs, 3 earned. 7 hits, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. Andy Pettit threw 7 innings. He threw 129 pitches in a game. That's the thing, man. The starter in baseball is it's dead. It's dead. I get it. Tommy John and that's the one thing. Think about this. When you think about all the sports, quarterback, obviously you're going to see him in the fourth quarter of a game. Basketball, you name it. LeBron, Brunson, Wemby, you're going to see him in the final minutes in the fourth quarter of a game. Hockey, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, name any player. You're going to see them in the third period and in the overtimes, barring injury in a game. Tarik Skubal, Zach Wheeler. Go through all the top starters, even Cam Schlittler. Those guys will be lucky to see the 8th inning of a game. Your best pitcher is never going to end the game. Never. Could you imagine that? Think about that. And we were talking about Tom Seaver not that long ago. How Tom Seaver, how many complete games he had in a year? Like 30? I mean, now again, that was 50 some odd years ago. But I don't know. I think more pressure on Yamamoto to perform like he did last year. And here's the funny thing about that bio. I think look at it this year. Now, if he gets bombed, I mean, he's not going to get bombed. But let's say if Yamamoto doesn't deliver, he gets a pass, at least for this year, because of what he did last year. So maybe he'll put more pressure on himself. I don't think the organization will. But let's say Yamamoto is pitching in a game 5 or a game 7, and he gives up 3 runs, 5 innings, walks 2, strikes out 5. Are people going to kill Yamamoto? I wouldn't. Now, if he gave up 1 2/3, he gave up 7 runs, I'd be like, oh, what happened there? But we wouldn't expect that from him. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. Now, I got news for you. The one pit that I'm telling you now, I'm going to say this, the postseason's not even here yet. The one person who's going to be expected to perform is Skubal. That's it. And I understand that is not fair to him in that regard, but because the Dodgers traded for him at the deadline for one reason and one reason only, is to win. And not only that, but win in the postseason. That's it. I can tell you that right now. And that's not going on the limb. That's not a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. If the postseason started right now, people are going to say, all right, let's take a look at the land, whatever, so on and so forth. Who has the most pressure on him? It's Skubal. There's no ifs, ands, buts, maybes about that. It's not Aaron Judge. It's not Bryce Harper. It's not anybody. It's Skubal. End of story. If Skubal goes 5 innings in games or 6 innings in games and he's, all right, 3 runs, 5 hits, that's going to be accepted? All right, even if the Dodgers win, let's say for argument's sake, but they're going to look at that and laugh. They're going to be like, this guy's going to be worth $400 million because he pitches 6 innings? Skubal needs to go out there. Listen, he's not going to pitch complete games. I get that. But I want to be able to watch a game. Dodgers are up 2-1. bottom of the eighth on the road, and he's out there towing the rubber in the eighth inning. I want to see that. I'm like, oh, let's see him gut this out. And if he strikes out the side and he walks off and he pitches 115 pitches in Game 5 in the championship series, where he gave up 1 run, 2 hits, struck out 11, I'm going to say, you know what? I got to tip my cap. Skubal's the man. And if he does that in the postseason, let's say a Game 5 at Yankee Stadium, and it's 2-2. And he's like, you know me, I keep it mostly for the kids. He says, fuck that. I'm going to pitch 8th inning. I don't care. You're going to have to drag me off this mound. I want to see that. And I'll be like, oh, here we go. And if Skubal gets out of that, he's going to be a legend. People are going to say he took the ball. Who did that earlier this year? Somebody did that earlier this year where he looked in the dugout and he's like, no, I'm not coming out of this game. Was it Mizurowski? Damn it. Who was it? There was a pitcher that pitched this year that he looked into the dugout and he said to everybody, like, I'm not coming out of this game. It'll come to me. It will come to me. I'm sure you guys are probably on top of it and you probably typed it already in the room. But I don't know. That's how I feel about, about aces. Listen, I'm not expecting the Freddie Peraltas of the world to do that. But when you're talking about aces, horses, you're talking Max Scherzer, you're talking, and I'm talking recent, I won't go Tom Seaver. Kurt Schilling pitched games 1, 4, and 7 of the World Series against the Yankees in 2001, and the guy was masterful. That's what I want to see. If Skubal's going to be among the ilk of those pitchers, he's got to do that. I don't think they will because Dave Roberts, I'm sure, whatever. No. Why do we remember that team so vividly? I understand Diamondback baseball's not on everybody's mind. When you think back to 01, you're going to think, oh, yeah, Schilling. That guy, he was unstoppable. Or when people look at Yamamoto last year, the guy pitched Game 6, and then the next night he's going out, he's pitching, 3 innings? Or how many innings he pitched? I can't remember off the top of my head. Or an inning and 2/3 to win a World Series. That's what legends are made of. Skubal's not a legend yet. He's won 2 Cy Youngs. Put it this way. Here's a name I could throw at you. I know you're going to cringe, and I know Val will jump up and down. He's not going to the Hall of Fame. He's not an all-time great. But when you think of Madison Bumgarner, what are you going to think of? The guy's ERA in the World Series is like less than half a run. And he pitched Game 5, and he came back 2 days later and pitched the final 5 innings of a Game 7 to win the World Series. No-hit ball. No hit. Do I need to say any more? Do I need to say any more? And I'll look that up too if you think I'm crazy and off my rocker. I'm not. I got it right here. World Series. One more time. Game 5, Madison Bumgarner pitched against the Kansas City Royals. Won the game. Came back out after 2 days because they had a day off, and they played Game 6 where the Royals won, and then Game 7. He came in the top of the 5th inning. Here it is, 2014 World Series. Oh, let's just go back to Game 5, by the way. Game 5, Bumgarner. How did he do in the game? This is all what Madison Bumgarner did in Game 5. And what was it? Was it 2-2 at the time? I believe it was. Was it not? Yeah, it had to be 2-2. All Madison Bumgarner did against the Royals that night, 9 innings, no runs, 4 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. And then in Game 7, mind you, Game 5 was October 26th. Game 7 was October 29th. Giants and Royals. Giants took a 2-0 lead in the second. Royals tied it in the bottom of the second. They took a 3-2 lead in the top of the 4th. And whoever pitched the bottom of the 4th for the Giants, all right, fine. We're going to look that up right now. In fact, Tim Hudson started the game. 1 2/3 innings was out. Jeremy Affeldt came in the game. Remember him, the lefty? Actually pitched for the Royals once upon a time. 2 1/3 innings, 1 hit. All right, fine. Madison Bumgarner came in at the bottom of the 5th inning. 5 innings. I take that back. I said he gave up no hits. He gave up 2 hits. I thought he gave up no hits. 2 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts, champion. I thought he gave up no hits. So it's 2 on me. DeGrom and now. But my point is, 2 days rest. Came out of the bullpen. He said, give me the damn ball. I'm taking this home. That's what I want to see Tarik Skubal do. And sorry for my blunders again, but you know me, hey, I got to own up. No excuses. I thought he pitched no hit ball, gave up 2 hits. Just like I thought DeGrom pitched 120 pitches in game 5, but it was game 1. I mean, that's it. That's what I want to see from Skubal. That's what I want to see. That's it. Is that asking too much? Oh, you're still with us. Hard to watch, but good. All right. Yeah, today's Tom Brady's birthday. Yes. To 125 pitch game 5 of the World Series for your Mets. Actually, it was 142. That I looked up. Bio, there's a reason why the Dodgers have been in the playoffs 15 years in a row for a reason. As the method to their madness. I'll say this, Bio. Yeah, is there truth to that? Absolutely. There is. But they've had, their resources, and again, I understand. Well, they maximize it. They do, and they do. I can't argue that. I cannot. But the Pirates can't send home a guy like Tanner Scott. They wouldn't even sign a guy like Tanner Scott. And you could say they could. All right, let's say that they did. Tanner Scott would be pitching in the World Series even if his ERA was infinite. Dodgers could say, see ya. Here's a paid vacation, World Series. And oh, by the way, you're going to get a ring when it's all said and done. And you know what's so funny? Even if I was a Dodger fan and knowing, and we'll just use this Skubal example, I wouldn't like it. I'd be in the minority. I would be. Because I want to see him go out there and pitch. I want to see him go. The reason why he got him was to pitch. And I understand it's for October, and I get all that. I do. But you can't just pick and choose slots when he's. No, he should be on the same rotation like everybody else. Let's go. End of story. And if you pitch against the Dodgers, you get bombed, you get bombed. If you pitch against the Dodgers, if you pitch against the Tigers and go 3 2/3 and you give them 5 runs and 5 walks, so be it. But if you go pitch 7 innings of no run, 12 strikeout baseball, then I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm a lunatic. So was gonna. No, he is. And that's the thing. If he blows out his arm, and who knows what this CBA is going to have. That's a story for another day. But how I look at it is that right? He's still going to get paid. Now, is he going to get paid over 10 years or is he going to get paid over 5 or 6 years? That's the difference. That's it. Last time I checked, that was the name of the game. I was off by 17. No, that was good. Now, listen, I've been off twice already, so I can't talk. There's only one old school pitcher in the game today. That's Yamamoto. Probably no. There's another guy. There's one other guy. I didn't bring him up because he's probably not going to be in the playoffs. Sandy Alcantara. Alcantara's the only guy that throws complete games, and the Marlins let him. Did he pitch? No, the last time he pitched 7 innings. Alcantara goes deep in games. But no, Yamamoto, that I agree. Yamamoto, listen, against the Yankees, pitched a complete game just 2 weeks ago. But you like guys to be like, I want the damn ball. Give it to me. That's it. But yeah, other than that, though, Bio, you're right. Yeah, because Zach Wheeler, he's not going to go. Wheeler and Schlittler. Schlittler went 8 innings against the Red Sox last year in that wild card game. Why couldn't he go 9? Who else? If I think of all the big pitchers in the sport, yeah, Alcantara's really the only guy off the top of my head that's going to go 9 innings. Let me ask you this, not to bring up bad memories. I apologize for this. If Perez Timo, that is, scores on the Todd double off the wall, does it make a more competitive series? No. If Armando Benitez could get a save there and not walk Paul O'Neill after him fouling off 1,000 pitches. Maybe it would have been more competitive. Yankees would have won this World Series at Yankee Stadium as opposed to Shea Stadium. Yeah, I know Timo. Huh, that's a bad one. No, but they were up 3-2 in the ninth inning, so I can't look at that. Although that run would have been nice, but I hear you, Ray. Hey, where's Mark Salmons? I don't know. We haven't seen him. Dodgers have 118 minutes on pitch without Skubal. They're going to protect their investments. Yeah, I know. No, and it's not to say they got to be reckless either, though, the novice. I could see, we're bringing back Skubal on 3 days rest or whatever. And listen, they brought in Ohtani on 3 days rest for the World Series. So I tip my cap to Ohtani. Now, obviously, he didn't pitch well. He gave up a 3-run homer to Bo Bichette. But, it's not as Ohtani. No, I can't. Now, that would have been something. Could you imagine that? If Ohtani didn't pitch in that game to start, people would have said, I wonder about his competitive fire. And he gave up the 3-run home run. He got pulled. All right, fine. But you know what? You can't knock him. He started the game. All right, it wasn't great. And they won, so nobody's going to remember that Ohtani gave up that 3-run homer to Bo Bichette. But if you're going to talk about his makeup, at least you could say, hey, Ohtani went out there. He gave it an effort on 3 days rest. Didn't work out. But you know what? If it called for him to pitch on 3 days rest again, you know that he would probably do it. But now they got a million starting pitchers. And remember, last year, they had no bullpen. 2 years ago, they had no starters. It was Jack Flaherty, Yamamoto, and then piecemeal, whatever else you want after that when they played against the Yankees. And I know they had who pitched game 3 off the top of my head. Yeah, it was Flaherty game 1, Yamamoto game 2. Game 4, I know they went bullpen, and they went back to Flaherty game 5. Game 3 off the top of my head. I know Biles on top of this. Damn it. I know it'll come to me. Yeah, Roki wasn't there. Snell wasn't there. Did Glasnow pitch in that series? No, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler started that game. Did he not? Let me see. I'm going to scroll down and cheat at the bottom. No, he didn't write that. But no, it was Buehler, because then Buehler came back and closed out the series game 5. Let me see. Valkyries. Yeah, I didn't talk about the WNBA stuff. I know the Sophie Cunningham thing is now getting out of hand. Now you got coaches wearing the... And listen, and everybody has a right to do that. I don't have a problem with it, but, now they're going to make the WNBA polarizing, and people are probably not going to watch because of it, but, There's no guarantee the Dodgers sign Skubal. That I agree with, although they're going to be the front runners. They rented Scherzer once upon a time and pretty much Trey Turner too. They did. Now, Scherzer, funny about him, he was on the last. Yes. Scherzer pitched. He actually closed that game in San Francisco. Game 5. I'll never forget, I was on my honeymoon. Game 5 against San Francisco. And you're talking about a bad memory for Val. The Giants won 107 games that year. They won the division by 1 game and had to play the Dodgers in the division series and got bounced by them in 5 games. But Scherzer, I remember, pitched game 5. He pitched game 2 against Atlanta, but then hurt himself because he didn't pitch game 6. Walker Buehler, who pitched game 3, had to come back on 3 days rest. I remember he got bombed in that series. Eddie Rosario, he got bombed in that game 6. Again, not to bring up bad memories. So maybe the Dodgers knew that, he was at the end of his contract. They didn't want to re-sign him. At that point, he had to be what? That was 2022, 21, 22. Right now was Scherzer. He just turned, I think, 43. So that was 5 years ago. So he was 38. They probably said, nah, they weren't going to bring him back. So it was smart for them to not bring him back because even though he pitched that 1 year for the Mets, he was good. He got bombed by the Padres, as I talked about a million times. And Trey Turner didn't have one more year with him before he went to the Phillies. Didn't he play in 2022? Yeah, so I can see why they didn't re-sign Scherzer. And not only that, even though he saved that game against San Francisco, but because didn't he have an oblique or something? I remember that. Okay, that's great. You know, and Alcantara, yeah, he's really economical with his pitches too, man. 3 days rest on. Oh no, without question. And nobody's expected to go 3 days rest in August anyway. I was just trying to make the comparison, but no, and you're right about that. The novice, 100%. No, and I love when pitchers go 3 days rest too. Whether they flame out, when they flame out, that's when you remember the most. I think of Al Leiter. He pitched game 3 against the Braves. He came back on 3 days rest. He didn't even make it out of the first inning. That was the Kenny Rogers walk-off, Andrew Jones in the 99 championship series. But then there's also, I hate to bring this up to you, Ray, Josh Beckett, who pitched game 3 in the 2003 World Series against the Yankees, and he actually lost that game. Came back on 3 days rest where he didn't even have to because they were up 3-2 against the Yankees. Came back on 3 days rest, and I know these stats by heart. You know me, of course, the Yankee hater that I am. Complete game. I got to go back and see how many pitches he threw. Complete game. No runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 9. No runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and I believe it was 7 strikeouts, not 9. Let's see if I go 3 for 3 or 0 for 3 in this case on that. I know he pitched a complete game because he tagged out Jorge Posada on that bleeder up the first base line. And I believe he walked 2 and struck out. I want to say he struck out 7. I don't think he struck out 9. Here we go. Game 6. Beckett's line. He did strike out 9. No runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, complete game, 3 days rest, and he threw 107 pitches. Now, people don't remember about the Marlins because whatever, but if you're, and obviously you guys are baseball fans, but I bring him up because I think about, and he didn't even need to pitch that. That was more on the manager, Jack McKeon, talk about the anti-Dave Roberts. He's like, no, I want to win this World Series right now. I'm not waiting to game 7. And I remember I was like, oh, my God, watch them get bombed in this game. And then they're going to lose game 7. And the Yankees are going to win another World Series. I got to watch this again. And I watched it. That game was on a Saturday night. I watched it. And Beckett was masterful. Now, I understand it's not going to go down as one of the all-time. Granted that he won a World Series. It was on his shoulders. And he won the World Series MVP. But because it's the Marlins, it's not the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cardinals. It's not one of the cornerstone teams of the sport. Well, yeah. That's what legends are made of. Can I see Tarik Skubal have a Josh Beckett moment? That's it. Or 1 or 2. Oh, I didn't realize. 146. All right. Yeah, I got to sign off at 2 because I have a call. As a matter of fact, I'll close out with your comments and then with what I got to say in regards to the Steelers' latest. For those who are interested. I love the performances you brought up, even though some of them hurt my heart and soul. I know, Ray. It's not like I'm not doing it on purpose. Oh, how about this? How about an Al Leiter game? Let's go back to 99 when they beat the Reds in that playoff. I understand it's 26 years ago, and I know Beckett is 23. And that was a regular season, so it's not a playoff game. So I got to remember if I go to box scores. When the Mets in 99, when they went into the postseason, they had to play a game 163 against the Reds in Cincinnati. And I know it was a 2-hit shutout by Leiter. But by year. But because they had to have that play-in scenario, Al Leiter pitched that game 163 at the old Riverfront Stadium. Oh, excuse me. So now, I just had it. Oh, there it is. So now it's a situation where, and that game I think was, hang on. October 3rd, 99. So now Leiter had to go in there and pitch the game just to get into the playoffs. So as I pull up that game, hang on. Mets won 5-0. I remember Ricky Henderson hit a home run down the left field line. He hit the foul pole, in fact. So there's a game. If Bastien is still on, I know he's a Red fan. Jeez, bad memories. Oh, my God. Wait till you hear this line. You ready for this? I understand do or die game. Win and get in. Al Leiter. Ready for this? 9 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. You know how many pitches he threw in a game when there was no such thing as pitch counts? 135. 135. And the Mets had a 5-0 lead, 4-0 lead in the 5th, and a 5-0 lead in the 6th. If that was this, he would have pitched 6 innings, would have been gone. It would have been reliever after reliever after reliever. And I get it. Baseball's different now than it was then. But Leiter said, the hell with this. I'm taking us home. That's what a big game pitcher does. He says, no, I don't want the bullpen. I want the bullpen off. They went to Arizona after that. And Leiter took his team home. I agree with you. You say we show up for the Dodgers in October. He's got to be legendary. Well, yeah, and that's the Dodgers are not in the business to win 120 games in a regular season. They're in the business to not make the playoffs. They're in the business to not make it to the World Series. They're in the business to win a World Series, as we've seen the last 2 years, and deservedly so. I mean, that's it. But that's, as you say right there, legendary. How many times do I have to say about Walt Frazier? As you well know, Ray, one of the all-time great guards, two-way guards in the history of the NBA, said it best. You make your name in the regular season, and you make your fame in the postseason. Tarik Skubal could have 1 million Cy Young awards. If he flames out in October, those Cy Young awards mean nothing. Yeah, they're on his resume. Yeah, we know he's a great pitcher, and I just gave you last year with the Mariners in that game. Red Sox have a deal in place for Rutschman. Why would the Orioles trade within the division? I don't know. And Rutschman is still a young player. I know he's falling off big time, but Yankees got to do something. I said Mason Miller. Something tells me, I'm going to say this right now. I should have said this earlier, even though I made a mention that my whatever hot take you want to call it. Something tells me that he's going to go after Mason Miller, and I think he's going to get him. I think he is. But again, if I'm AJ Preller, I want Spencer Jones. I'll take Jason Dominguez, George Lombard. They're not going to get Cam Schlittler. They're not going to get him. But the Curtis LaGrange, he's a right-hander, hard-throwing right-hander. Give me those 4 guys. If you want to throw in Anthony Volpe in there, do that. Now, here's the thing. Bogarts is going to be – Xander Bogaerts at shortstop from now until the end of time because of the contract he signed. And Jake Cronenworth, I don't know what his deal is. He plays second. But, hey, find a place for those guys. You get 2 outfielders to go along with Jackson Merrill. I guess Tatis, who knows? Maybe they'll try to unload him. Although they got to deal with that contract. Does next week Monday work for you? We can talk about it during the week. Yeah, we'll talk during the week, Ray, for sure. Absolutely. 4 hours left. Oh, you went to that game, did you not? Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that, Ray. I'm sorry. Now, I didn't mean to bring that up considering that you were there. I was not aware of that. So, when you were at Game 6. Oh, and you went to the Boone game. That was one of the great that's one of the great Game 7s of all time. As far as League Championship Series. I mean, that was just, you talk about theater. Yeah, I'll admit, that was one of the great Game 7 ALCSs of all time. Now, great Game 7s, you're talking about last year, Dodgers Blue Jays. You do realize back-to-back Subway World Series. No, I know. Absolutely. And we were down 3-0 in that series, and we came back. Piazza had a massive home run. He had that bad thumb, tied the game off of John Smoltz, and they lost. They actually took the lead 8-7. Oh, my God. Yeah, now I can bring up bad memories for my team. Just found out Gonzaga plays UCLA. Oh, nice. Good for you, Bio. That's cool. Awesome. At the end of the day, that's what people care about. That's what Detroit offered the Yankees. The Yankees said no. That Boone game was stupid. I know. And crazy how that game turned the fortunes of both franchises. Both the Yankees and Red Sox. Because think about it. Boone hits the home run. The curse lives. And I said to you guys here on air, and you know about my cousin JD, the big Red Sox fan he is, and you know me, I'm not a Red Sox fan, but I hurt for him and all the Red Sox fans. I said the Red Sox will never beat the Yankees. They're never going to beat them as long as I live. Never. They were 5-2 in the 8th inning. Grady Little, Pedro Martinez. Mike Mussina throws 3 scoreless innings. Mariano, 3 scoreless innings and extra innings. And then Boone hits the home run off of dearly departed Tim Wakefield. But what happened afterwards? Boone, in a pickup basketball game, tears his ACL. The Yankees get A-Rod, who wanted to get traded to the Red Sox and had a deal in place if he were to take off, I think, $20 million off of his deal. And he was willing to do that to go to the Red Sox. But the Players Association said, nope, you're not doing that. And then, I'm sure you know by now, at one of the Banquets Awards when A-Rod won the MVP and he's sitting next to Brian Cashman, he had a couple of tequila and cranberries or whatever. And Cashman says, hey, how do you think about being a Yankee? And he goes, well, wait a minute. Jeter plays shortstop. And A-Rod goes, and then Cashman goes, well, you could play third. And next thing you know, he started entertaining that thought. And then sure enough, the trade happened on Valentine's Day for Alfonso Soriano. And we know what happened in 2004 and beyond. Bananas. Are the Yankees stadium going to fall down? Oh, you thought the Yankees were going to fall? Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm sure. Actually hated the Red Sox. Really? Why? Because of the idiots, the long hair, and the scruffiness, and wow, Bio, to think. You hated them more than you. Really? Wow. Look at that. I learned something today. Well, I know you hate for Boston, especially when it comes to basketball. I mean, it goes without saying. But wow, I learned something. Interesting. All right. Check that out. Me and Boston don't mix. So wait, do you also hate the Bruins and the Patriots? I probably wouldn't be no. Well, Patriots I could see. Oh, well, the Patriots, yeah. I mean, now they're outside of Boston, but I understand they're Boston's team. So yeah, I know why you hate it. Please, the Patriots don't need to answer. But the Boston Bruins too? Yeah. Go on, the novice. Hate everything Massachusetts. From clam chowder to lobster rolls to Fenway Park to Goodwill Hunting. I hear that. Listen. And I'm sure Ray's probably jumping up and down reading that too. This was good. I love this, man. And this is why I do what I do. Just to think that Tarik Skubal was a catalyst for really like the last 2 hours. And I only like JFK. Oh, man. I know. Listen, I could go on and continue. I got to jump off here in a matter of minutes because I have a call. And I guess I'll wrap up on this note. The Steelers' latest YouTube, it's up. I posted a video Friday. Today's video's up. Today's video, I talked about the offensive line, Broderick Jones coming back. I know I didn't talk about that on the podcast, but today I'm actually going to do a video for tomorrow about the quarterbacks, but more so is there going to be a quarterback controversy, not with the Aaron Rodgers, of course, but with the backup. So, yeah, Steelers' latest, YouTube. I can send you guys a link if you won't mind subscribing. It's quick. It's anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. The 2 videos I put up are like 12, 13 minutes. You can just put it on in the background, whatever. If you want to throw in a comment, I appreciate it. But yeah, as I'm trying to gain traction on that, I haven't really plugged it that much because I wanted the video to go up first and then gain a little traction for people to watch so they could at least watch a couple of videos that have been released. So I would appreciate that. But I could text each and every one of you if anything that, and if anything, I put that in the room as well. But yeah, anything else before I sign off? Nothing, no other trades, right? I know you guys are on top of it. You would have let me know. Yeah, Rutschman are trying to settle that one for the Red Sox. We'll see. And who knows? If anything crazy happens between now and 6, maybe I'll do a live. Let's say if Lindor gets traded or somebody posted today too as a joke on Twitter that the Dodgers are about to close a deal on Paul Skeens. I mean, if that happens, then forget about it. I mean, the internet will just shatter in a zillion pieces. I'll do it. So I will do that, Donavis. Definitely, man. I appreciate that. And yes, have a great sports day. And yeah, more trades to be made. We'll be on top of that, as you know. Another episode in the books. As always, thank you so much for carving out precious time out of your day to listen to everything I have to say about what goes on in the toy department of life called sports. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel here on YouTube at JReels. Of course, if you listen to your podcast or prefer to go the audio file route, Apple, Spotify. You can also watch the podcast on Spotify as well. Please throw me a few stars, write a review on those platforms as well, and increasing the visibility of this podcast and these platforms with all the others that are out there. This is True Passion and Sports Talk. If you haven't watched over the last 3 hours, and I know I edited the audio portion just for Apple and Spotify, but the video portion, the whole 3 hours is there. And it got heated, talking about Tarik Skubal. So you definitely want to go back and check that out. And I got into it with Dodger fans, not into it in a sports fans way, and respectful and business-like. No disrespect goes on here as long as I'm hosting this show. But you want to go back. It was spirited, people. So definitely check it out. And whether you do or do not know, tap those veins, people. It's in my blood and the DNA talking sports since birth. I appreciate each and every one of you. You know that. You guys fuel the engine. You guys drive the podcast, the live streams, etc. Because as long as I sit in front of this microphone and camera, I promise I'll deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from wham to whoever you are, the JReels podcast always comes live, correct, directed, and full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond, peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Let's see what happens with the trade deadline. Exactly 4 hours from now, it will conclude. Let's see what's going to be moving and shaking over the course of the remainder of the afternoon. And until next time on the JReels podcast, on the flip, baby. What else you got? Our pleasure. I appreciate that, Ray. You know it. The novice, I will do that. And yes, thank you, Bio, as always. Maybe until later. We'll see. But until next time, on the flip.